This love is ill. I wish that it was different. Don't know what it is that made us so indifferent. With
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final round of Season 10 of the Virtual Drift Championship. My name is Craig. With me, as always, is Tanner. What's up, Tanner?
What's happening, Craig? What's happening, chat and stream? Man, what a day of qualifying, and now we're here. The finals. It's already happening. We're at the end of Season 10, but what a fight it's been to the end. The championship closer than ever. 5 people in contention that can potentially win it today with so many variable outcomes that it's going to be just so much fun to watch throughout the day.
Yeah, absolutely. There's your current top 32 standings after yesterday's qualifying and those last 16 qualifying battles. Daniel Andreev still sitting on top at 322. Tikhon Pileski 310. Alan Hines 299. Calais 289. Zach O'Sullivan not joining us for the final round. He'll stay at that 289. And then Nico with a 269 on the board. All of those drivers have a chance today. Absolutely insane. You got any predictions? You got picks?
I mean, Tikhon's looking really solid here in practice, but I can only see who's loaded into the server right now, so that might change later on in the afternoon. But, if we were all hoping for, maybe like a Season 8 battle where we had the good old Tikhon and Allen rivalry, well, these guys might meet in the 8 today, so it could be over before the finals. Who knows? There's so many variables that make it on who wins today, so it's going to be absolutely tooth and nail throughout the whole day.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll pull that bracket up here in just a second. Before we do so, we'll go to today's line map. If you missed yesterday's qualifying, here it is. Initiation and turn 1 is basically identical to our layout A we ran 2 years ago, so that starting out with the decel zone and then picking up throttle in clip number 1, filling those outside zones, holding a nice radius through those 3 first outside zones, and then transitioning across the track to clip number 4, your next outside zone, and then into your next and only decel into clip 5, filling that. And we have a big painted box there, again, if you missed yesterday, and it's split into 2. The first half of it is clip number 5. We want to see those drivers start to leave the outside once that zone has completed, and then down to the inside for your first inside clip at clip number 6. Into clip number 7, your next outside zone, out to 8, where it is the same as clip number 4 from layout A. Into clip number 9, almost the exact same position, just adjusted just a little bit to hold this new line we have going through this turn here from clip 8 out to 9, and then into your next inside clip at clip number 10, transitioning one more time over a little crest there into clip 11, and then out to clip 12, the second half of that big painted box, and then across that finish line. And once that clip 12 has ended, drivers are allowed to cross over that white line when crossing that finish line. Let's check out the bracket. We've got the first group loaded in. We'll start on the left hand side of that bracket, work our way down, and then bring in the right hand side. So starting things out will be Tikhon Pileski and Kevin Stump, Luciano Canero and Alexander Yegard, Nick Hang and Ethan Pitrical, Alan Hines and Dajan Reeves here in the first group of the final round. I can't believe it, Tanner.
It feels like it was just yesterday we were doing round 1. I mean, it's gone by so quick this winter. Well, winter for us, summer for other people, for everyone down in Australia there. But it's been a crazy season, and the driving has been closer than ever. We tried to make it even tougher. We went down to only 24 hours of practice time before qualifying, and these guys are still making it look like they had a week of practice.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, doing the tracks and then giving them out, joining the server right after they get the tracks. I mean, within 10 runs, they're putting down 90-point qualifying runs. It's absolutely insane. But then they take that extra time and really dial in these cars, get that last 1% out of them, and then bring them here to battle. Kevin Stump and Tikhon Pileski now coming to the line to start out the final round.
That's absolutely right, Craig. So now we're here, the first battle of the top 32 for the final round of Season 10 of the Virtual Drift Championship. Tikon Pileski, currently in the contention for the champion fight in our lead lane, up against Kevin Stump, fighting his way all the way through the last 16 battles, and now he's here in the main competition. A huge run from Tikon Pileski off the start. He's gapped Kevin Stump right off the hop, but now Kevin Stump's starting to catch back up to that door as they come through outer zone 3. They transition through 4, Kevin being modest on the amount of room he left there for that transition as they come to that inside clip before making the transition once more. But Kevin doing a good job. He is keeping good proximity to Tikon, not getting too close, but just keeping it right there. If any mistakes happen, he's there to take advantage of it as they come through the second to last outer zone, push out wide, get onto the white line, and finish out the first half of their battle.
And nicely done to start out today's main event. Tikon out front here on the replay. Kevin Stump giving chase and entering late there, trying to close that gap down. Does end up in the pocket here for outside zone number 3. Tikon doing a good job out front, filling outside zone number 4 as well, getting away from Kevin Stump once more. Kevin washing out a little bit there in that chase position into 5. Tikon once again doing a very good job here out front, kind of leaving Kevin behind a little bit through this course, grabbing 9 there. Kevin back into the fight right along the bumper for that final transition down the little hill and out to the last and final outside zone where Kevin nearly pushing him across the finish line.
Well, we'll see how things stack up in the second half of the run. Kevin Stump will now lead things out. Tikon Pileski ready to chase him down. I know Kevin wants to advance on, but for Tiki's championship, he definitely wants to move on. Out of the gate, they come out. Outer Zone 1, now to Outer Zone 2. Tikon Pileski sticking right with Kevin Stump through this section. Now they make the transition down to Outer Zone 4. Tikon not getting too close to Kevin, but just keeping that pressure applied as there he gets on the door as they come through that inside clip. But good driving here from Kevin Stump out front. He's doing a very good job in this lead, keeping that car exactly where it needs to be. But now on the attack is Tikon Pileski. Was right along the door through Outer Zone 8. Now on his door through Outer Zone 9. On the wheel as they come into Outer Zone 10. And now they finish out that run.
Well, not bad from Kevin Stump out front. Let's take another look here on the replay. Initiating in, and then Tikon almost getting into the door and causing contact in that first outer zone. Bunch of angle being poured out by Kevin Stump in 3. A little bit shallow of 4, but then really starts to get it together here. Perfect on that inside clip. Transitions into 7, grabs 7 and out to 8 on a good line here. Filling 8, now out to 9. Tikon applying some pressure, but playing it a little bit safe here. They head on into 11, now out to 12 with Tikon right there with him. But again, Kevin doing a good job there across that finish line. Let's go to the judges for the first time here today. Tikon on the left, Kevin Stump on the right. And there it is. Tikon Pileski gets the win here in the top 32 over Kevin Stump and moves on into the top 16.
I do have to say that was some great driving there from Kevin Stump, and we will see him hopefully next year with us. We love having him out here every year, but that run, that was the one, man. That was a good run from you. So Tikon Pileski moves on to the top 16, and our next battle's already under the tower. Luciano Canero in that Nissan Z up against Alexander Yegard in that S13 in the chase lane. They're ready to battle it out to see who will go see Tikon Pileski in the top 16. The first half of the battle's underway as the lights go on and off they go. Luciano Canero initiates in. Alexander Yegard right there with them, almost choking out the transition from Alexander Yegard, or the initiation, but he makes it work as they come through Outer Zone 3. Now the transition to Outer Zone 4. Alexander Yegard trying to keep on the door of Luciano Canero with a little bobble there in the chase, but then bam, gets right on the door and the wheel of Luciano Canero. They make the transition from Outer Zone 6 down towards 8. And the pressure being applied by Alexander Yegard in that chase. They make the final transition, hit that little bump, now up the hill. And Alexander giving him no breathing room, but a good job from Luciano to keep it out front and keep it locked in.
Yeah, nice and clean by both. Let's take another look. Luciano initiating in. Alexander almost getting into the rear bumper, but then quickly back into the fight, back into the pocket, heading into outside zone number 3, right along the bumper through these first transitions. Now into 5, where Luciano goes a little bit wide, gets it back down to the inside clip, but also a little bit wide there. Alexander right back onto the door. Out to 8 and staying with him into 9. Luciano's on a good line there, staying for that inside clip. Right along that bumper once more from Alexander Yegard in that chase position. And then across that finish line, nice and clean.
Well, now back around at the start line, we get to see the second half of the battle. Alexander Yegard now in the lead lane. Luciano Canero ready to chase him down as lights go on for the second half of this battle. They initiate in. A huge angle thrown by Alexander Yegard out front. Luciano Canero following him right through, though, as they come over the hill through outer zone 2 and now down towards 3. Not as much angle from the chase position, but Alex just throwing that S13 around the drift mansion here. They come through that inside clip. Luciano sticking right to that rear quarter panel as they come through outer zone 6 down towards 8. Keeping it on the door now as they come through 8 into that next inside clip. And look at that proximity from Luciano right there on the door as they come into outer zone 9 and push it all the way to the finish. Luciano not giving Alexander any breathing room.
Yeah, really not at all. Let's take another look. Good, strong initiation from Alexander Yegard out front. Bunch of angle, has to make a small correction to fill outer 2. Does a really good job with 3 and a smooth transition into 4 where he pours on more angle into 5. Nice and clean, a little bit wide of that white line, but gets that inner clip really good. Luciano right along that bumper through that transition. A little tight there, ends up at 8, maybe a little bit late, grabs 9 with Luciano again right there in that pocket, right along the bumper once more. Last and final transition down into 11, now up into 12. Crossing that finish line, we go to the judges. So it's Luciano on the left, Alexander Yegard on the right. There it is. We do have a decision. Luciano Canero is going to get the win. Chris called for a one more time. Ed and Carl go left for Luciano. He moves on into the top 16 where he'll face Tikhon Pileski.
The one spot in the top 16 already fulfilled. Many more to go here in the top 32. Next up, the next battle to the start gate, Nick Hang will be taking that lead lane in that beautiful Sierra Cosworth. And then Ethan in the FD RX-7 will be chasing him down for the first half of this run to see who takes the next spot in the top 16. The lights come on and off they go. Nick Hang with an impressive qualifying 8th in yesterday's qualifying, but look at Ethan right there with him off the initiation through outer zone 2 as Ethan throwing a lot of angle to get the car slowed up and ready for the transition. He's sticking right with Nick Hang, transitioning right along the bumper as they come through outer zone 5. Nick Hang doing a good job out front here. Ethan glued to the door of that Cosworth as they leave outer zone 7. Now through 8, still wheel to wheel and door to door as they come to that inside clip. Another transition along the bumper. Ethan out to make a statement. He's bobbling around in that chase, trying to keep it on the door of Nick Hang. Wow.
Goodness. What a battle. Let's take another look. Nick Hang out front, Ethan giving chase, and Ethan posting that he broke his clutch spring, but clearly making it work. Going into flip 5 now, right along the door. But Nick Hang doing a really good job out front, just a little bit wide of that inner clip there. Grabbing 7 nicely, heading on out to 8 on a really good line. Nice and chaseable lead out front. Ethan right along the bumper, tucking up underneath. And then right along that door, but ends up a little bit on the outside there. Has to make a correction. There they go across that finish line. We go to the second half of their battle.
Back under the tower, the drivers are ready for the second half of their battle. Ethan in the lead lane now. Nick Hang ready to chase him down. Even though Ethan suffers from that broken clutch spring, it's not showing him any different as he hucks that car off the initiation through outer zone 1. Nick Hang sticking right with him off of it, though, not letting him get upset by that huge initiation as they come through outer zone 5. Nick Hang is already glued to the wheel and the door of Ethan's FDRX7. They come through outer zone 6, down towards 8. No breathing room. One mistake and both drivers could go into each other. Look how close Nick Hang is as they come through that inner clip. Not as close on the transition as Ethan, but he's still right there as they come through that final outer zone and finish out the run. What a battle.
Gosh. Let's take a second look. Ethan throwing the RX-7 in. Does miss out on outer 1 just a little bit. Grabs 2 really good on a good line here into 3. A little bit shallow in 4. Nick Hang right along the bumper into 5. Little corrections there. A little bit wide of that inner clip is Ethan. Grabs 7 on a good line here out to 8. Looks to fill it all the way. Adds some angle there. Heading on down into 9 with Nick. Right along that door. Does fall back just a little bit here, but heading on up into 12. He's on a little bit better line in that chase position. So we go to our judges between these two. Nick Hang on the left, Ethan on the right, or do we send him again? Got a one more time from Chris. Ed goes left, and we got a one more time from Carl. So we line them back up.
So the first one more time called here in the final round of Season 10 of the Virtual Drift Championship in the top 32. And what one to start it out with. I mean, Nick Hang was absolutely nailing everything. Ethan right there with him. Then on the reversal, Ethan nailing everything. And Nick Hang right on the attack. So let's see them do it again. And maybe the judges will have a concise winner by the end of it to take the next spot in the top 16. Nick Hang now leads things out in that lead position in the Sierra Cosworth. Ethan chasing down in the FD. The lights go on. Off they go. Down the straight, initiating in. Good initiation by both drivers as they come through outer zone 1. Maybe not as close through outer zone 1 and 2 from Ethan is the last run, but he quickly gets up on the door of Nick Hang as he transitions along the bumper yet again. Leaves a bit of room, but quickly fires back to the door through outer zone 5 as they come through that inside clip and down to outer zone 6. Ethan sticking right with Nick Hang. Maybe not as close this time around as the last run as they make the final transition up to outer zone 9, now down towards 10. Another bobble again there in that chase from Ethan, same as the last run just before the finish line.
Yeah, we'll go right back to that replay. Nick Hang initiating in, filling outside zone number 1, and a gap needs to be made up by Ethan. He does so just along outer 2, staying with him through 3 and now into 5, where Nick Hang going a little bit wide for 5. Ethan taking advantage, staying with him. Backs up for that transition, makes another dive there. Good line out to 8, filling that zone all the way. Good angle into 9 as well, driving that car in to that inside clip. Ethan right along that bumper. And then, as you said, another little bobble there, heading on up into that final outer zone.
See what happens in the second half of this battle. Ethan now in the lead lane. Nick Hang ready to go in the chase. The second half of the one more time battle. Only one moves on for the top 16. The other goes home for the rest of the season till next year. Initiating in. Lots of angle thrown on by Ethan out front as they come into outer zone 1. Maybe some contact there as they came over the hill from Nick Hang coming into outer zone 3. Now through forward through that transition. Nick Hang right along the bumper and quickly snapping it to angle to get back on the door of Ethan. not leaving an inch of room as they transition one more time through outer zone 6. Nick Hang is all over the door of Ethan's FDRX7 out front. Look at that proximity as they come through outer zone 8. Now through that inside clip, transitioning along the bumper yet again. Still door to door, wheel to wheel, they come into the final outer zone. Nick Hang putting on the pressure for the second half of this battle.
Absolutely. Let's take another look. A couple of mistakes out front as well. A little bit of an over rotation there into outer one. Has to make a correction. Doesn't quite fill the zone. Fills two. But look at that. Nick Hang right along the door. Backs up for that transition here in that Manji section. And a little bobble there heading on into 5. Stays within that zone, but does go wide of that inner clip. Maybe you have to make sure he wasn't being pushed around there. Good line out to 8. Filling that zone. Using that left foot brake for 9, adding that angle and driving that car back to the inside. Perfect on that inside clip, right along the bumper through that final transition, heading on it to clip 12, where I think Ethan ends up maybe just a tiny bit wide. We'll go to the judges. Nick on the left, Ethan on the right. Ooh, we'll win this one more time battle between these two and head on into the top 16. It's going to be Nick Hang. Unanimous decision from all 3 of those judges. Nick Hang moves on into the top 16.
So Nick Hang securing his spot further in this competition here today as we have our next championship contender at the line. Team Heinze, the RTR Mustang, Alan Hines himself in the lead lane, up against Dijon Reeves in that C6 Corvette in the chase. The lights go on and off they go, initiating in. Good initiation for Alan Hines. Dijon right there with him though as they come through outer zone 2. Dijon is putting on the pressure early here to Alan Hines. They make that transition to outer zone 4. Now switch it back for outer zone 5. Quickly back on the doors. Dijon Reeves keeping it right there to Alan Hines' door. They make the next transition down into outer zone 6. Look at that proximity there from Dijon Reeves. He knows he's up against Alan. He's got to bring the heat, and bringing the heat indeed he is. Keeping it right there with him. Alan Hines out front doing a great job in the lead, but Dijon, the star of that battle in my opinion.
Wow. Yeah, let's take another look here. Alan Hines out front, great initiation. Dijon takes advantage and tucks up underneath, gets right into the pocket of that Mustang out front. Stays with him right along the bumper through the Manji section. Both of those transitions nicely done. Working out to the outside a little bit is Alan. Grabbing that inner clip, making his transition for 7 with Dijon right on the door into 8. Staying along into 9 as well. A little bit wide of the inner clip. And slowly rotating in and reeling Alan back in for the final zone. There they go across that finish line. My goodness.
Well, no one said it would be easy today for Alan Hines. Dijon here wanting to move and face Nick Hang in the top 16. So Dijon now in the lead. Alan Hines will chase him down. The lights go on. The second half of the battle's underway. Initiating in. Look at Alan right there off the initiation on the door to Dijon Reeves. They come through outer zone 1 now into 2. Leaving a bit of room there for the transition. Maybe even transitioning a bit early. He kind of had to hang himself up a bit in that chase. Dijon keeping it dialed here as they come through that inside clip. Maybe just a bit wide there for Dijon, but Alan Hines sticking right there with him. Almost going to the inside with that big Mustang against that Corvette. Trying to keep that proximity there and not touch him as they wide for the lead as they come out of the second to last outer zone, but Alan Hines sticking right there with Dijon through the whole course.
Yeah, let's take another look at it here. Dijon out front. Grabbing outside 1, a little bit of left foot brake into 2. Overall, good line. Tons of angle before transitioning, and yeah, Alan getting a little caught up there in that first transition. Falls back a little bit, but then gets right back into the door of Dijon. A little bit wide of the inner clip. Grabbing 7, and a lot of left foot brake there around that turn into 8. Okay here, into 9. Good on that inner clip as well. And maybe a little bit wide there for 11 is Dijon. And crossing that finish line with Alan Hines right along the door. Do we have a victor here? Alan Hines on the left, Daishan on the right. Or do we go one more time with these two as well? Alan having an exceptional lead out front. Daishan having an exceptional chase. And there it is. So Chris and Ed go left. Carl, we're not sure if it. There it is. So a unanimous decision. All three of those judges going left for Alan Hines. It's going to come down to that lead from Daishan. But I mean, chase of the year for Daishan. Absolutely.
That was an insane chase by Daishan. That just goes to show the practice is paying off.
Absolutely. He really took the fight to Alan Hines and almost took Alan Hines down and ended his day, ended his season here. But Alan does move on. Up next, Nico Stalea and Linus Torkvist, Simon Sandman and Cameron Mustard, Masashi Yoshida and Martinez Ostraka, Brett Wolford and Yaroslav Vasilio in our next group for the top 32.
Well, they got their few practice laps in and now under the tower and ready to continue on with the top 32. The next championship contender at the line, and no, you're not seeing double. This one has purple. This is Nico Stalea in the RTR Team Heinze Mustang in the lead, up against Linus Tornquist in that chase in the BMW. The lights go on and off they go. Nico's been on form all season, but can he hold off Linus in that chase as they come up over the hill? Linus, with a lot of speed, had to back out of it through outer zone 2. Now slowly catching back up to the door of Nico Stalea as he transitions along the bumper into outer zone 5, gets back in that pocket and onto the door. Nico going a little wide there for that inside clip as they make the transition to outer zone 6, driving it down towards outer zone 8. Linus now feeling comfortable, keeping it right glued to the door of Nico's RTR. They make the final transition a little wide for Nico out front, but it doesn't upset them or Linus in that chase. They finish out door to door.
Nicely done out front from Nico. And a couple of highlights from Linus in that chase position. Take another look. Fantastic initiation from Nico, and then falling back, making a bobble there is Linus in that chase position around outside zone number 2. Nicely done through here, and then right along the bumper is Linus in that chase position for that transition into flip 2 or 5, excuse me. Grabbing 7 there. Really good lead line out front from Nico. Linus now taking advantage here into 9, staying with him around that inside clip, right along the bumper once more, and yeah, just barely wide is Nico. Gets up into this final outside zone nicely and across that finish line.
Well, back around at the start gate and ready for the second half of their battle. Linus Tornquist now slots into that lead lane. Nico Stalea with a championship potentially on the line for him. Leaves in the chase. They initiate in, looking good off the initiation. Nico opting for a more inside line there towards outer zone 1. Off the initiation, they come through 2 and 3. Now Nico transitions right along the bumper. Linus out front. Again, another transition right along the bumper. Linus keeping it right on that white line. Nico glued to the door through that outer zone 5 and that inside clip. Now through outer zone 6. Nico's sitting right there on the door of Linus Tornquist. They come through outer zone 8. He leaves a little bit of room, and look at that transition right along the bumper. Nico going for it here, trying to keep as close as he can. A little bit of contact there into Linus as they come through, and he pushes him through the finish line.
Yeah, he certainly does. We'll take another look Linus out front. Smooth initiation. Filling outside zone number 1. Yeah, Nico a little bit on the inside, but gets back on a good line here. Great first transitions here in this Manji section. Linus going a little bit wide there of clip number 5, a little bit wide of that inner clip as well. And then tucking up underneath once more is Nico. Stays with him out to 8 and follows him into 9, staying with him into 10 as well. And then right along that bumper once more for the final transition. Nice and smooth over the crest out into this last and final outside zone where he does get pushed just a little bit there. We'll go to the judges. Nico on the left, Linus on the right. And there it is. Nico keeps his championship chances alive. Moves on into the top 16 over Linus Tornfist. Great battle between those two.
A great battle indeed. So Nico taking the next spot in the top 16. 3 more spots remain for the left-hand side of the bracket before we move over to the right hand and start filling up that side as well. 2 championship contenders sit on the right hand side. But first, let's continue our top 32 run. Simon Sandman in the lead lane up against Cameron Mustard in the Supra, chasing him down for the first half of this battle. Who's gonna go see Nico in the top 16, initiating in quick to angle off that initiation with Simon as he comes through outer zone 1, wide for outer zone 2 though. Cameron in the chase, just hanging back a little bit, but then transitioning right along the bumper through into outer zone 4, now into 5. Cameron's on the door of Simon Sandman. They come through that inside clip, just a little wide for the lead. Now through outer zone 6. Little ground loss there from the chase as they made that transition, but quickly regained through outer zone 8 now into that next inside clip. Another transition along the bumper. Simon comes into that final outer zone. Cameron Mustard right there on the door as they finish out the first half of this battle.
Yeah, we'll go right back to that replay. Simon out front. Cameron giving chase. Almost over rotating there along that initiation. Maybe going a little bit wide for clip number 2. Back edge is that white line. Nicely done for 4 though. Look at there, right along the bumper is Cameron Mustard. Right into the pocket of that bigger BMW, going wide of that inner clip. Great transition into 7. Good line out into 8 and filling that zone all the way. Down into 9 now where Cameron Mustard still right on the door, right along the bumper. Once more for that final transition. And they go across that finish line door to door.
Well, now back under the start gate, Cameron Mustard ready to lead things out for the second half of this battle. Simon Sandman ready to chase him down. Only 1 moves on to see Nico in the top 16. Down the straight, initiating in right along the bumper. Simon was almost pushing Cameron into that initiation point. Then through outer zone 1, 2, and 3, sticking right there on the door as he leaves just enough room for the transition into outer zone 4. They quickly switch back for outer zone 5. Almost pushing Cameron Mustard yet again through that inside clip. Now they make the transition through outer zone 6. Cameron doing a good job out front here, putting the car where it needs to go, but Simon even closer, in my opinion, through that outer zone 8 into that next inside clip. They make the final transition. 1 more outer zone to go. Simon Sandman makes that push to get right to the door of Cameron Mustard, and they finish out this battle.
Yeah, great battle between these two. Let's take another look on the replay. Second half of this battle. Fantastic initiation from Cameron Mustard, filling those first outer zones into 3 now. Right along the bumper is Simon in that chase position. Here we see Cameron go a little bit wide of clip number 5. A little bit wide of that inner clip as well, making a little correction there. And then going a little bit wide here. Has to pull some angle out to grab clip 8. Grabbing 9 now with Simon right along the bumper once more. Great job out front from Cameron Mustard to grab 11 into 12 now and across that finish line with, as you said, Simon right on that door. Let's go to the judges. Simon on the left, Cameron on the right. Cameron getting a podium last round. Can he keep it going here? Oh, and look at that. So Chris calls for one more time. Ed and Carl go right for Cameron Mustard. Cameron Mustard gets the win over Simon Sandman and moves on into the top 16 here in the final round.
So Cameron Mustard taking the next spot, and we'll see Nico Slea in the top 16 after upsetting Simon Sandman in that battle. But now under the tower, our next battle, Masashi Yoshida, qualifying 5th today and has had a very good season with us here. He'll be leading things out. Martinez Ostreka, qualifying 28th in the chase. And at E34, initiating in. Masashi out front, looking good off the initiation as they climb up the hill towards outer zone 2, right to that white line. Martinez right there with him, staying in that pocket. Good proximity for the transition as they come through outer zone 4, right along the bumper into outer zone 5 now. Driving maybe a little bit off it near the end, but Masashi keeping the car in check. Lots of angle thrown as he left the outside zone 6. Maybe put Martinez on that back foot there, as he almost looked like he had to back out of it, or maybe something happened as he lost that proximity and hasn't been able to regain it. But now that they're coming up to the final outer zone, he manages to get back into that pocket, but maybe a little wide there for Masashi at the end.
Yeah, definitely going wide of that final outside zone. Let's take another look here. Great initiation from Masashi, working it out to that outer 2 there with Martinez right along the door, in the pocket, right along the bumper through this first transition. Second one as well. Reels him in quickly for clip number 5. Now down into the inside. Martinez still right along that door, but then doesn't quite get the car to transition there in that chase position. Still maybe struggling a little bit there, heading on down into 9. And now back into the fight, heading into this final outside zone where we see Masashi make a little correction, but was there contact that may have caused it?
Well, let's see what happens here in the second half of this battle. Now Martinez Ostreka will lead things out. Masashi Yoshida ready to chase him down. Who gets the next spot in the top 16, or will they end up running again? We'll find out. Martinez Ostreka out front. Huge angle thrown off of that initiation. How Masashi kept up with it, I don't know. But he's right there, quickly catching up to the door through outer zone 3, transitioning along the bumper. Now again into outer zone 5, a big bobble there for the chase as they come out of outer zone 5 through that inside clip. Masashi trying to catch back up to that E34 of Martinez Ostreka as they come through outer zone 7. Masashi sitting right there with him now, back in that pocket. Really having to slow check up almost every time they make a transition though, as they come into that final outer zone, riding that white line, door to door, wheel to wheel.
Yeah, let's go right back to the replay here. Over rotating into outside zone number 1. Does grab number 2, and Masashi gets back into the fight here, waiting on that first transition, grabbing 4, maybe a little bit late out front, and then a big correction there from Masashi in that chase position, falls back, but then Martinez goes wide, and there, a little bit late for 7 as well, almost like he's struggling to get this car to transition down into 9. Good line there, goes wide here for that inside clip, and then a little bit late on the transition from Masashi in that chase position. Now heading on it to that final outside zone that crossed that finish line with Masashi right on the door. So we go to our judges. Masashi on the left, Martinez on the right. And it looks like we do have a decision. It is going to be a one more time. Ed goes right for Martinez Ostrika. Chris and Carl choose one more time, so they'll go back to the start gate and we'll line them back up.
Well, a second one more time called here in the top 32 for the final round of the Virtual Drift Championship Season 10. This time between Masashi Yoshida and Martinez Ostrika. A couple mistakes between both drivers. I'm sure they just want to see it cleaned up a little bit, so they can make a definitive decision for who deserves to move on to the top 16 of competition. So, back under the tower, Masashi Yoshida now back in the lead lane. Martinez Ostrika ready to chase him down. The lights go on and off they go for their one more time battle. Down the straight, initiating in. Good initiation for Masashi out front. Martinez sticking right with him as they come through outer zone 2, down towards 3, starting to put a bit of a gap on him between Martinez and our lead of Masashi, but then right along the bumper for the transition. Maybe some contact there, definitely contact as they left outer zone 5 into that inside clip. Now the transition into outer zone 6, down towards outer zone 8, a little wide for Masashi there, but he makes up for it in outer zone 7. Martinez trying to stick right with them on that door. Can't seem to get there, but he's holding a good proximity to Masashi as they cross the line.
Yeah, nicely done. A little bit cleaner this time. Let's take another look. Good initiation once more for Masashi, heading on out into 2. Now down into 3, where he's pulling away from Martinez a little bit, but Martinez right along the bumper for these first 2 transitions. Has to really, man, sacrificing some angle there in that chase position. A little bit of contact there before that inner clip. I think that's what pushes Masashi wide. Now heading on out to 8, filling that zone all the way into 9 now as well. Good angle down into that next inside clip, and then throwing that car into 11. Martinez stays with him into this last and final outside zone, crossing that finish line. Nicely done.
Let's see how the second half of this one more time battle unfolds and who takes the next spot in the top 16. Martinez Ostrika will now lead things out. Masashi Yoshida ready to chase him down. Huge angle thrown last time in his lead, and he almost does it again, but this time he holds it through outer zone 1. Makes it that big flick initiation work as he comes through outer zone 3 now, down towards outer zone 4. Masashi Yoshida had to throw a bunch of angle to avoid hitting Martinez there through outer zone 4, but makes it work, and he stays to the door of Martinez as they come through that inside clip through outer zone 6, down towards 8. Masashi on the attack here, keeping a good proximity. Not quite on the door, almost on the door through that inside clip. Now the transition to the second to last outer zone. Masashi making that push, gets the quarter panel of Martinez Ostrika and stays there to the finish.
Yeah, staying with him all the way across that finish line. Let's take another look. Martinez out front. Doing this one more time. Doesn't quite over-rotate this time. Good line up into 2. Actually, a little bit of correction there, but staying with him into 3. Now 4, going a little bit wide and washing is Masashi. Reels him in quickly, though, for clip 5. Staying with him around that inside clip. Grabbing 7. Hanging a little bit wide there, sacrificing a little bit of angle to grab 8, pours it on for 9, and heads on down into that inside clip. Nicely done, Masashi. Better job this time for that final transition, staying with him all the way to that finish line. Go to our judges one more time. Masashi on the left, Martinez on the right. Another tough decisions for these judges. Doing some replays here and weighing all the mistakes. Much less this time around here in the one more time. And they're going left. Masashi gets the win. Carl wanted another one more time, but Chris and Ed go left. Masashi moving on into the top 16.
So Masashi Yoshida getting the win over Martina Sostreka, moving on into the top 16. And now we're here for our last battle of the left-hand side of the bracket. Once our drivers get out of the way there. There we go. So in your lead lane for the last battle of the left-hand side, we have Brett Wolford, another RTR Team Heinze driver in the Mustang, being chased down by Yaroslav Veseleo in the BMW. The lights go on, and here we go. Brett Wolford out front, Yaroslav right behind him as they initiate in. Good initiation for Brett Wolford, but falls short of outer zone 2, not filling it all the way. Yaroslav able to stick right to his door as they leave outer zone 3 and transition right along the bumper, but then contacted into the wall goes Brett Wolford from contact of Yaroslav. So we'll have to see what happened there in the replay. Was it Brett Wolford backing out of the throttle too much? Was it Yaroslav carrying too much speed and sending him into that wall at outer zone 5? They carry out the run and finish it out wheel to wheel here, but it's all going to come down to that for run number 1.
Yeah, let's take another look here on the replay. Brett out front, Yaroslav giving chase, and it looked to be a hanger of a battle to start things out. Brett coming up short of outer 2, grabs 3, makes this first transition, grabs 4, tons of angle there, and then yeah, heading on into clip number 5. Does look like he may have been going a little bit wide for it, but it did sound like he was back on throttle once that zone started. There is an allowed decel area there heading on into clip number 5. They do a good job afterwards. They keep on going, but it will come down to that contact for the first half of the battle.
Let's see what happens here in the second half of the battle. Now Yaroslav Veseleo will be out front, and chasing him down will be Brett Wolford. Only one moves on to see Masashi Yoshida. The lights go on, and the second half of the battle is underway. Yaroslav dragging the Mustang down the straight as he initiates in outer zone 1, now through 2, maybe not filling all 2 quite fully, but pretty close to it as he gets all of 3. Brett Wolford was on the back foot there for the first few outside zones, but now starting to regain that proximity and get into the pocket of Yaroslav Veseleo. They make the transition to outer zone 6, down towards outer zone 8. Now Brett Wolford starting to stick right with Yaroslav as they come through that inside clip. Nicely done by Yaroslav out front here. Now through outer zone 9 and the final push to the final outer zone. But Brett Wolford just sticking right there the whole time. Like, not quite on the door, but enough that I think that'll matter.
Yeah, I think so. And maybe playing it a little bit safe here in the second half of the battle. It does make a little correction over the hump there, heading on into outer 2. Waits for that transition. That's Yaroslav and that bigger car ahead. Staying with him though, Yaroslav going a little bit wide of that first inner clip. Good transition for 7 and a good line heading on out to 8. Looks to fill that zone, and 9 as well, with Brett still right there in the pocket. Not crazy proximity, backs up for that final transition. Almost looked to over rotate, but that Mustang just kept right along. Then crossing the finish line right along the door. So we'll go to the judges. Brett on the left, Yaroslav on the right. Winner goes to the top 16, and there it is. Winner is Brett Wolford. He moves on into the top 16 to face Masashi Yoshida. And yeah, it's going to come down to that contact, and they are putting fault on Yaroslav. So let's take a look at that bracket as we load in our next group for the top 32. Up next, it'll be Vitaly and Reese Tatterson. David Lasco and Jordy Lopez Lucas Pasquini and Alex Rogachev, Ernestas Jacobus, and Olivier Blas, all up next in our next group of the top 32 main event.
Well, with the practice laps complete, we're ready to go for the right-hand side of the bracket for the top 32 for the final round of Season 10 of the Virtual Drift Championship. We're kicking things off. Vitaly Azayev, another championship contender, up against Reese Tatterson, another RTR driver, fighting his way through those last 16 battles. Yesterday, they fired through Outer Zone 1. Now through Outer Zone 2, Reese Tatterson keeping a good proximity as he makes transition along the bumper. And then again, out of Outer Zone 4, down in 5, he opts for a more inside line to try and keep that proximity to Vitaly Azayev out front as they make the transition to Outer Zone 6, down towards 8, drawing a good line. Reese Tatterson trying to keep that proximity, keep it right there in the pocket. As Vitaly Azayev comes to that second to last outer zone, maybe makes a little hiccup there, which gives Reese Tatterson that chance to get right up on the door.
Yeah, let's take another look here. Vitaly out front. Reese giving chase. Reese said he was going to just go have fun today, and it looks like he's doing so here in this chase position. Vitaly dialed in for the lead, though. Filling these first outer zones, grabbing 4 perfect. Nice transition into 5 as well. Coming up maybe a little bit shallow, but gets back out to that white line. Perfect on that inner clip. Reese surging ahead there in that chase position, reeling him in quickly, heading on into 8, following him along into 9, and staying with him into 10 as well, right along the bumper for the final transition, and stays with him heading on up into the final outer zone, where he stays with him crossing that finish line.
Now back around under the tower, Reese Tatterson now slots into the lead lane. Vitaly Azayev ready to chase him down. Vitaly with a championship to think about here today. Reese Tatterson leaves the gate. Vitaly right behind him, initiating in. Good initiation from Reese Tatterson through Outer Zone 1. Vitaly Azayev already quickly on the door, though, as they leave Outer Zone 2 into 3. The transition through Outer Zone 4, nicely done, matching the angle from Vitaly in the chase. Reese Tatterson going a bit wide there for Outer Zone 5, but it doesn't upset him. Now the transition to Outer Zone 6, maybe a little late, but there's Vitaly right there on the door of Reese Tatterson. They come through the final inside clip, one last transition to go. Reese looking good out front here, but Vitaly putting on the pressure as they come through that final outer zone and finish out the run.
Yeah, great chase there from Vitaly. Really good lead out front as well from Reese. Filling outer 1, heading on out to 2, doesn't quite get out to that white line. Does so 4-3, where he pours on the angle, making his first transition. Grabbing 4, heading on up into 5, where he goes a little bit wide there at the end of it. A little bit wide for the inner clip as well. And then a small dive from Vitaly here in that chase position out to 8. Very similar to Reese getting to 9, maybe a little bit late as well. Final transition right along the bumper, pouring on the angle as Reese. He gets out to the outside. Stays along that white line, but Vitaly right on the door, crossing that finish line. We'll go to the judges. Vitaly on the left, Reese on the right. And there it is, Vitaly keeping his championship hopes alive. Unanimous decision from all 3 of those judges. He moves on into the top 16.
So Vitaly moving on, securing his spot in the top 16. Reese Tatterson sadly going home, but an amazing drive from him in that top 32 battle. As we have our next battle under the tower ready to go. David Laxko in the lead lane up against Jordy Jojo Lopez, chasing him down for the first half of this battle. To go to see who will go see Vitaly Azayev in the top 16. The lights go on and off they go down the straight. Initiating in, looking good for David out front. Jordy's sticking right there with him, not too close, not too far away though. They come through outer zone 2, down to outer zone 3. Jordy just feeling him out here in that chase position as they make the transition through outer zone 4 up to 5 now. David Laxko doing a good job through 5. Maybe a little wide for that inside clip, but nothing to shake a stick at. They come through outer zone 6 down towards 8. Jordy on the attack, trying to get as close as he can to David Laxko. They make the final transition. And a very clean battle between these two here as they get up on the white line and finish out the run.
Yeah, nicely done. Let's take another look here on the replay. David rolling the car in. Jordy right along the bumper before that initiation, almost making contact, but gets right into the pocket quickly, follows him through turn number 1, waits for that transition, and then makes another dive heading on into clip number 5. Nicely done out front from David. Good on that inside clip as well, grabbing 7 on a good line, heading on out to 8, filling that zone with Jordy right in the pocket. Nicely done on the inner clip as well. Right along the bumper, almost, maybe a little bit wide there for 11, heading on out to 12, crossing that finish line. Jordy applying some pressure there in that chase position.
Now back around at the start gate. Jordy Lopez ready to go in the lead lane. David Laxko ready to chase him down. The lights go on in the second half of this battle is quickly underway down the straight. Initiating in, looking good off the initiation for Jordy out front. David Laxko, whoa, losing it. Coming into outer zone 2, but he manages to hang on as they transition down to outer zone 4, now into outer zone 5. Jordy using a lot of brake there to try and get the car up onto the white line for outer zone 5. Doesn't quite get there though, as now David Laxko is able to get on the attack and get it on the door of Jordy in that lead, not filling all of outer zone 8. As they come across that inside clip into the final outer zone, they hit that bump, head up the hill, right on the white line. David Laxko applies the pressure and finishes out the run.
Yeah, let's take another look here. Something did happen there heading into clip number 2. Yeah, over the hump. David getting almost completely out of drift there in that chase position, but then gets right back into it. Jordy coming up a little bit shallow of clip number 5, does end up on that white line a little bit later, grabs that inner clip. David trying to make a little dive here, heading out to 8. Follows him along right in the pocket of that Z4 out front. Nicely done on the inner clip as well. Final transition, a nice dive from David once more. Jordy locked into the line here for that final outside zone. Crossing the finish line will go to the judges. David on the left, Jordy on the right. And we do have a decision. Chris goes left, Ed goes right. And Carl goes left. David Latsko gets the win over Jordy Lopez. David moves on into the top 16. Yeah, overhearing on Discord the explanation there from our head judge Chris, explaining that understeer that David had over that hump. They're putting fault on Jordy for picking up throttle a little bit late and having a little bit too far of an outside line in between 1 and 2, basically before that hump, and causing David to use a lot of left foot brake, which then causes the understeer over the hump.
So David Latsko getting the win. We'll see him in the top 16 up against Vitaly Azayev, as now our next battle comes to the line. Lucas Pasquini in the E90 BMW in the lead up against Alex Rogachev, who will be chasing him down for the first half of this battle. The lights go on and off we go down the straight. Lucas initiates in, lots of angle thrown off the initiation, but look at that. Alex Rogachev matching him all the way through outer zone 1, 2, and 3 now. Those Super Mario lights might be helping him out here as he comes into outer zone 5. Down into that inside clip. Alex Rogachev doing a great job here in the chase. These two putting on a phenomenal run so far as we come through outer zone 7. Look at the proximity from Alex Rogachev, just keeping it right to the door of the E90 of Lucas Pasquini. They leave outer zone 9, the final drive up to outer zone 10 along the white line and finishing out the run.
Yeah, nicely done. Very clean to start things out as Alex turns it into Rainbow Road there in that chase position. Nicely done on the initiation. Tons of angle from Lukasz, maybe leaving outer 1 just a little bit soon. Grabbing 3 there though. Nicely done from Alex here in this chase position right along the bumper for those first transitions. Staying with him for clip number 5. Maybe a little bit tight to the inside clip from Lucas. They head on out to 8 now. Alex still right in the pocket, right along that door, following very closely throughout this entire course. Coming up just a tad bit shallow of 11, now filling 12. There they go, crossing that finish line. We go back to the start gate.
Well, back at the start gate, Alex Rogachev is now ready to lead things out for the second half of the battle. Lucas Pasquini ready to chase him down. Only one advances on to the top 16. Initiating in, Alex Rogachev right with him. Lucas Pasquini as they come up the hill towards outer zone 2. Lucas with good proximity here, not as close to Alex Rogachev in the first half of the battle, but still sticking with them, throwing tons of angle through outer zone 4 as they come into outer zone 5, in which Alex nails perfectly through that inside clip. Lucas putting on the pressure though as they leave outer zone 6 down towards 8. Right along the door is Lucas Pasquini onto Alex Rogachev. They come through that inside clip, still door to door and wheel to wheel as they come through outer zone 9. One more outer zone to go, and oh, a little bit of contact there from Lucas Pasquini, but then they finish out the run.
Yeah, a little push. Let's take another look. Alex out front, just giving chase, initiating in. Fantastic from Alex out front, but comes up short of outer 2, heading on out to 3. Gets out there. Lucas right along the bumper for that first and second transition. Nicely done into 5. Alex gets away a little bit there for 5. Done on the inside clip as well, filling 7. Now heading on out to 8 with Lucas right on the door into 9 as well. Staying with him for 10. Waits for that transition and goes for another dive here in this chase position. Reels him in slowly, and there's the little nudge. But it kind of maybe helped Alex get out there to that white line. Let's go to the judges. Lucas on the left, Alex on the right. We got it one more time from Chris already. Ed goes right for Alex Rogachev. Carl goes right as well. Alex gets the win here in the top 32 and moves on into the top 16.
So Alex Rogachev qualified 26, beating Lucas Pasquini, who qualified 7th, moving on to the top 16. Who will see him in the top 16? Well, this battle will decide that. Ernestus Ukulibis will slot into that lead lane, as he's just leaving the pits now. Olivier Blias in the E36, he'll be in the chase. There he is. Ernestus, there you are, into that lead lane. Ernestus looks ready. Olivier looks ready. Let's see what happens in the first half of their battle. A good getaway there from Ernestus. Launched out of that gate. Initiates in right along the wall. There's Olivier, though, right against his quarter panel as they come through outer zone 1. Now down into 2. Olivier kind of playing with that wheel, trying to keep up with the speed of Ernestus here as they come into outer zone 5. Down towards that inside clip. But a good job from Olivier in that chase, sticking right with him. Right in the pocket, almost on the door through outer zone 7 and 8 as they come to that final inside clip. Now the final transition to outer zone 9. A good run here so far from Ernestus out front, just working his way up to that white line before crossing the line.
Let's take another look here. Ernestus definitely getting out to a really good start there, initiating in, throwing that car in. Olivier trying to close the gap, washes out just a little bit, but then gets back into the pocket on a good line, heading on out to 3. Backs up for the transition into 5 now, picking up throttle early is Ernestus, driving that car down to the inside clip. Washes maybe a little bit there, has to get that car to transition for 7, makes it work, heads on out to 8 with Olivier in the pocket now of that S chassis out front. Final transition coming up a little bit shallow. There is Ernestus as well, trying to work that car out to that white line for the final zone, and doesn't quite get out there.
Well, let's see what happens here in the second half of the battle. Olivier now leading things out. Ernestus will chase him down. 1 will go to see Alex Rogachev in the top 16. The lights go on and off we go for the second half. Down the straight and initiating in, looking good. Oh, Olivier goes into the wall. He manages to get the car slowed down and keep in it. I don't know how Ernestus kept from going right into him and sending him even further into the wall, but they keep this battle going. Still wheel to wheel, they come to that inside clip. Olivier definitely on the back foot in the lead after that wall contact, almost putting him further into the wall. They come through outer zone 8. Ernestus right along his wheel through that inside clip, almost pushing him through the inside clip as they come through outer zone 9. Now make the drive up to 10. Look at Ernestus just right there beside him. They finish out the run.
Yeah, fun way to finish it. Let's check it out one more time here on the replay. Olivier sends it in, hits the wall, and then gets a bump from Ernestus that puts him right back into trip. And then they continue on like it never even happened into 3. Continuing into 4, maybe a little bit wide is Olivier, but it is going to come down to that contact along that first wall for sure. Great on that next transition. Ernestus staying with him through the course anyway, maybe a little bit wide for 8, grabs 9. On down to the next inside clip, waiting for that transition is Ernestus in that chase position, then reels him in here for the final outside zone. And across that finish line, we'll go to our judges. Ernestus on the left, Olivier on the right. And there it is. Unanimous decision from all 3 of those judges. Ernestus gets the win over Olivier here in the top 32. Let's take a look at the bracket. Our next group is completed, and we move down into the last and final group of top 32. Daniel Andreev and Steven Jarbo, Augusto Ferreira and Austin Zalewski Braden Swan and Liam Akihiko, Gary Sostreka, and Robert Kivsinski. Coming up next.
Well, with the practice runs complete, we're back to it here with the top 32 to finish filling our top 16 bracket. Our current championship points leader, Daniel Andreev, in the lead lane up against Steven Jarbeau. In the chase, the lights go on and this battle's quickly underway. Initiating in, Daniel Andreev looking good off the initiation. Steven Jarbeau right there with them as they come up through outer zone 2, right on that white line for outer zone 2. Maybe touching the wall there for Daniel Andreev into outer zone 3. Now the transition along the bumper. Steven Jarbeau almost left him no room and maybe had to put him into a bit of a sticky situation in that chase as he had a little bit of a wobble coming into 5. But now they're leaving outer zone 6 down into outer zone 8. Steven Jarbeau keeping good proximity to Daniel Andreev here, matching that angle nicely. They leave outer zone number 9, not filling it all the way, but Steven Jarbeau pushing Daniel Andreev through the finish.
Yeah, and almost bringing that run to a halt. Let's take another look. Great initiation. And Daniel gets ahead, pulls away here in turn number 1. Steven making a dive there, leaving 3. And then, yeah, almost making some contact there along the bumper in that chase position. They continue on. Nicely done from Daniel out front to grab that inside clip. Good line heading on out to 8. Even making a couple little bobbles here, trying to stay with Daniel out front. Final transition, pulling away once more is Daniel through it. And then trying to apply some pressure there, make some contact before crossing that finish line. We go back to the start gate for the second half.
And at the start gate, we have Steven Jarbeau now in the lead lane. Daniel Andreev ready to chase him down. Daniel with the championship to think about in this battle as the lights go on. But Steven Jarbeau wants to make it into the top 16, initiating in, looking good off the initiation. Daniel Andreev matching that angle through outer zone 1 into outer zone 2, down towards outer zone 3. Daniel really kind of backs out of it there to leave lots of room for the transition as they come into outer zone 5. Along that bumper, but they are wheel to wheel now through that inside clip and into outer zone 6. Steven Jarbeau doing a good job here out front, but Daniel just applying that pressure in that chase as he leaves again a lot of room for that transition, just kind of waiting for it, and then bang, get back on the door. They come up to the final outer zone and they push all the way through to the finish.
Yeah, I think some smart chase driving there from Daniel Andreev. Steven out front here on the replay. Great transition into that outer 1, grabbing 2, and on a good line here. Does add a lot of angle there before making his first transition. Daniel, almost like he was just waiting for it. Lets it happen, gets right back onto the door, follows him around that first inside clip there, adding a little bit of angle before making that transition for 7 as well. Maybe leaving 7 a little bit early. Grabbing 9, good line through there, good line through that inner clip as well, heading on out to 11, right along that yellow line, heading on out to the white line this time, filling that last outside zone with Daniel right on the door. We go to our judges, Daniel on the left, Steven on the right. Does Daniel keep his championship going? He does. Unanimous decision from all 3 of those judges. Daniel Andreev gets the win. here in the top 32 over Steven Jarbo.
Now, all the championship contenders have made it into the top 16, which means the championship is still anyone's game as Daniel Andreev grabs that next spot in the top 16. Who will see him in the top 16? This battle here will decide it. Augusto Ferreira, with about 300 pounds of duct tape on his VR, in the lead lane. And Austin Zaleski chasing him down. Initiating in for Augusto, looking good. Austin right there with him, though, as they come through outer zone 2. Austin applying early pressure as they come up over the hill, not filling all of outer zone 3, though, for the chase. They leave outer zone 4 into 5. Augusto goes a little bit wide, but quickly drops back down. Austin still there on the door. They make the transition into outer zone 6. Austin applying that pressure, keeping it on the door of Augusto Ferreira as he tries get almost by him there in that one outer zone. But now they come to the final transition, drive it up towards that white line. Austin right there on the door of Augusto.
Yeah, we'll go right back to the replay here. Guto out front throwing skyline in. Nice line heading on out to 2 with Austin Zaleski following him nicely. Good line, good angle. Grabbing 4, heading on into 5. Guto on just a little bit wide there. Get back down to that inside clip though, nice and tight. Zaleski following him through, heading on out to 8. And then surges forward there, heading into 9. Makes it work. Stays behind for that transition and then slowly reels him in for that last and final outside zone right along the door, crossing that finish line.
Well, let's see how the second half of this battle plays out. Austin Zaleski now in the lead lane. Augusto Ferreira ready to chase him down. Only one advances on to see Daniel Andreev in the top 16. The lights go on and off they go. Drag race down to the initiation point. Throwing in the angle. Augusto right there, matching that angle through outer zone 1 and really on the attack here through outer zone 2 and 3. Leaving a lot of room here for the transition into outer zone 4 now, then into 5. High up into outer zone 5 goes Austin Zaleski, and that gives Augusto that chance to get right back up on the door as they come through outer zone 6. Now down towards 7. Augusto trying his best just to stick right on the door of Austin Zaleski. They make the final outer zone, final transition, and Austin goes wide yet again for outer zone 9. Holds it on that white line, but Augusto on full attack mode through that run.
Guto, let's take another look. This initiation here right onto the door of Austin Zaleski out front. Austin doing a really good job through turn 1 though. Good lead line. Guto falling back a little bit there, leaving 3 and then reels him in 4-5 where Austin does go a little bit wide. He is wide of the inside clip as well. Makes the transition for 7 and grabs that zone. Guto making another dive there. Sacrifice a little bit of angle, leaving 8. Gets back into it here around the inside clip. Falls back a little bit for that final transition and then quickly reels him in. A little bit tighter of a line is Guto, but he is on the door as they cross that finish line. So we go to our judges. Guto on the left, Austin on the right. Yeah, Augusto having a lot of VR problems this season, but it doesn't matter. He gets the win here in the top 32 over Austin Zaleski. Moves on into the top 16.
A good job from Augusto Ferreira there. And I think now he needs to leave the 300 pounds worth of duct tape on his VR because it's obviously working.
It's something I told him to do. I'm not maybe not that much tape, but if it works.
Exactly, and he makes it into the top 16. So now, 2 battles remain, 2 spots left in the top 16. Braden Swan in the lead lane, Liam Akihiko chasing him down. Who's the next driver to fill out this top 16 bracket? The lights go on and off we go. Braden Swan leading, Liam chasing, initiating in, both of them right to angle, matching each other beautifully off that initiation through outer zone 1 and then down into 2, getting through 3 nicely as well. The transition along the bumper, Liam maybe a little late, almost looked like he was going to go into the bumper, but he stays out of Braden Swan's bumper. They come wide through that inside clip and make the transition a little late. Does Brandon into outer zone 6 as they come down to outer zone 8 now. Liam Akihiko keeping it there on the door and keeping a good proximity when they leave outer zone 9 up into outer zone 10, and they finish out side by side.
Yeah, nice way to start the battle. Let's take another look. Braden Swan out front. Fantastic initiation. Throws it over the little hump there. Fills to Liam. Backing up a little bit, waiting for that transition to happen. Almost doesn't make it work. Finds himself along the bumper through both of them, though, where Braden goes a little bit wide of clip 5 and 6, the inside clip as well. Grabbing 7. Good line for 8. Liam takes advantage down into 9. Almost pushing him through that zone there, heading into that inside clip. Grabs 11, now heading on out to the final outside zone. Nicely done from Braden out front, and Liam in the chase.
Well, now back around at the start gate, Liam Akihiko will now lead things out for the second half of this battle. Braden Swan ready to chase him down. Only one advances on to the top 16. The lights turn on, off they go. Down the straight, initiating it is Liam, almost gapping Braden Swan to the initiation. Braden has to pull out a lot of angle just to try and catch back up through outer zone 2 to get up to the door of Liam Akihiko as they make the transition from outer zone 4 into 5. A little rub there from Braden Swan into Liam Akihiko's door, but it doesn't upset him too much. He really had to surge up to get back onto the door and into proximity as they leave outer zone 7 down into 8. Braden Swan now getting comfortable being on the door of Liam Akihiko's car as they come through outer zone 9 and to the final push through the final outer zone, side by side and wheel to wheel, they finish out the battle.
Nicely done. Once more, let's take another look. Liam really sending it into the first turn here, but doesn't quite make it work. Does wash a little bit there. Has to make a big correction to try and fill 2. Doesn't quite fill 2. Does get out to 3 and a good transition for 4. Now heading on into 5. Maybe a little shove there from Braden. Does go wide of that next inside clip. Grabs 7 on a good line once more. A little shove once again from Braden Swan in that chase position, heading on out to 8. Grabbing that inside clip, maybe a little bit wide there from Liam. A little bit shallow of 11 as well. Nicely done, heading on out to the final outside zone where Braden pushes him across that finish line. We go to our judges. Braden on the left, Liam on the right. It looks like we do have a decision one more time from Chris. Ed goes left for Braden Swan. Carl goes left for Braden Swan as well. Braden gets the win here in the top 32 over Liam Akihiko. Moves on into the top 16.
So Braden Swan getting the win there over Liam Akihiko, and now we've come down to the final battle of the top 32, before we take a quick reset and jump right into the top 16 to finish. Darius Ostreka will slot into that lead lane, and battling him is Robert Kavinsky in the chase. Who will go see Braden Swan? Well, that will be decided at the end of this. The lights go on and the final battle of the top 32 is underway. Darius Ostreka quickly out of the gate. Robert right there with him as he initiates in. Robert late on the initiation though, as he gets kind of angled through outer zone 1 and then makes up for it in outer zone 2. Really pulling out of the angle on the transition as well in that chase. They come into outer zone 5 now and make that dive down to that inside. A surge there from the chase, making contact with Darius Ostreka in the lead. And then another surge with more contact from Robert Kavinsky. Robert just not able to get settled in that car. Good job from Darius to be able to keep things alive and keep it going in that S14 as he drives it to the finish.
Yeah, let's take a second look here. Again, Darius out front, good initiation, filling outer 1, heading on out to 2, gets along that white line with Robert right in that chase position. Nicely done there for 3. Now heading on into 5. A little bit of left foot brake being used down to the inner clip. There is a little bit of contact there. Now heading out there. Okay, so Darius. Cars seem to shut down a little bit there after flip number 7 heading on out to 8. Maybe what caused the contact. We'll go to the second half though with Robert out front.
Some things for the judges to look at in the first half of the run, but we have the second half to get through first. Robert Kavinsky now in the lead. Darius Ostreka will be chasing him down for the second half of this battle. Let's see what happens here as they leave the gate and initiate in. Good off the initiation for both drivers this time, up the hill towards outer zone 2, right along the white line for outer zone 2. Darius Ostreka, though, all over that door as they leave outer zone 3 and now down into outer zone 5. Right along the door and right on Robert Kavinsky through that inside clip. And now towards outer zone 8. They come around the turn. Wheel to wheel, door to door. Darius Ostreka applying all the pressure here. Maybe trying to make up for if there was a mistake in that first run. How can I get that back? I know how. Door him and almost push him into the wall as he pushes him across the finish line.
Ooh, so unfortunately, yeah, my game did crash, but the judges are still in the server. That's all right. They'll probably review replays if they need to. We'll load back in. We'll pull this up just here for a second. We'll play what little bit of the replay we have as well. Get on back into the server quickly. We're back. And again, we'll play what little of the replay we do have with Robert out front this time. I did hear you say that a little bit of contact in the final outside zone. Here they go through turn number 1. Really good line. Darius applying a ton of pressure there. Nicely done in 4. Now into 5. Goes maybe a little bit wide as Robert is down to the inside clip. Darius right along the bumper there. Now heading on out to 8. And that's where we get the unfortunate crash. So what happened after that, Tanner?
Well, yeah, after that, they came through, and it really didn't matter up until about the final outer zone. They came through outer zone 9, and then it just looked like the speed of Robert Kavinsky's car just slowed right down, and basically you had Darius Ostreka pushing him all the way to the finish. It was quite interesting, to say the least, but I'm sure our judges will be able to look over it and hopefully make a decision off it. If not, maybe not clean enough when we send them for one more time battle.
It looks like, they do have a decision. They are going to go right for Robert Kavinsky. He does get the win over Darius Ostreka. Again, unfortunate that we did have a crash there. Welcome to Assetto Corsa. Oh, man. But that's
We've gone this long.
Right? We have gone this long. There is your completed top 32 bracket and a look at what comes up next. We are going to take a little break here in just a second. Take your screenshots now if you'd like. When we come back, we'll show the top 16 bracket, but there it is on your screen. T-Con moving forward, Vitali as well. Everyone that is in the championship fight is still in the bracket, keeping it alive. Again, we'll take a very short break. Of course, we have the crash right before our break that we need. And we'll be right back with more of the final round here of season number 10. All right, and we are back with more battles here in the final round of season 10. Let's take a look at our top 16 bracket. Ticon Pileski and Luciano Canero up next, as well as Nick Hang and Alan Hines, Nico Stalea, Cameron Mustard, Masashi Yoshida, and Brett Wolfer. Left hand side of the bracket coming up next, and then we'll work down our right hand side. Take your screenshots now if you want to follow along, and then we'll pull it up in between each group. And all of those championship contenders are still in the bracket, still keeping it alive. Such a beautiful venue for our finals as well. We did it 2 years ago with a different layout. If you don't have that track already in a set of course, go get it from thedriftmansion.com. It will come with our original layout. We'll release this layout after the round as well. Again, go ahead and get it now if you don't already have it. Help support this fantastic Airbnb. If you didn't know, this is a real place and a real Airbnb. Rent out a bunch of friends. They've got quite the activities.
They do, and they got a couple rental cars as well. I got to chat with them down at SEMA, and they're a bunch of really cool dudes that just love to go fast and sideways, and this is a wonderful place to stay. But looks like that was last call for our drivers, and we have our first battle of the top 16 under the gate. Ticon Pileski, currently second in the championship points, in the lead lane up against Luciano Canero. In the chase, the lights go on and off we go to start off the top 16 of season 10 of the Virtual Drift Championship. Through Outer Zone 1 into Outer Zone 2, Luciano Canero sticking right with Ticon Pileski as he come through Outer Zone 4, now transitioning along the bumper into Outer Zone 5. Luciano keeping that pressure on to Ticon, sticking right to the door through that inside clip as they come through Outer Zone 6, down towards Outer Zone 8. They've come through wheel to wheel, door to door. Ooh, even touching Ticon a little bit was Luciano as they came into that inside clip. Now they come back up the hill towards that final outer zone. Luciano leaving no room for error in that chase run.
Yeah, you really can't when going up against Ticon Pileski. Let's take another look. Initiating in, getting away from Luciano a little bit. Luciano reeling him in quickly though, and into the pocket by outer 2, staying with him through 3 as well. Backs up for the transition, lets it happen out front, and then makes another dive there in clip number 5, heading on down to the inside clip. Perfect for Ticon out front, filling 7 as well, driving out to 8 with Luciano trying to stay with him. Sacrifices just a little bit of angle there in that chase position. Ticon really pouring it on there around that inside clip before making his final transition, now heading on up to that final outside zone, crossing that finish line, and we go back to that start gate.
And back at the start gate, Luciano Canero now in the lead lane. Ticon Pileski ready to chase him down for the second half of this battle. The lights go on and off they go. Only one advances onto the top 8. Who will take the first spot? Initiating in, looking good on the initiation. Ticon already on the attack through Outer Zone 1. As they get into Outer Zone 2, he tries to get right on the door of Luciano. They make the transition down to Outer Zone 4, leaving a bit more room there on the transition into Outer Zone 5, but quickly back up on the wheel as they come through that inside clip. A little wide through it goes Luciano as they make the transition to Outer Zone 6, down towards 8 now. Door to door, wheel to wheel as he pours on a little bit more angle. Ticon matches it nicely. They come through that inside clip. 2 more outer zones to go. They come through Outer Zone 9. They push up to the top of the white line. Ticon Pileski on the door. Luciano. Wow, what a battle.
Yeah, nicely done. Let's take another look. Luciano out front. Ticon giving chase. Smooth initiation from Luciano. Ticon quickly getting onto the door of that Z out front. Staying with him out to 3. Right along the bumper. for these first set of transitions. Now heading into clip number 5. Lots of left foot break out front from Luciano. He does go wide of that first inner clip. Good line heading on out to 8. Looks to fill that zone. Pours on the angle now for clip number 9. Grabbing 10. Right to that inside clip. Good line out to 11 as well, with Ticon still right on the door of that Z. Crossing that finish line, we go to our judges. Ticon on the left, Luciano on the right. Ticon keep his fight going. Chris goes left. Ed goes left as well. Unanimous decision from all 3 of those judges, Chris, Ed, and Carl. Ticon gets the win and moves on into the top 8.
So Ticon, one more step ahead. As he gives a cheeky little burnout to one of his old friends and main competitors. Our next battle at the line. Nick Hang leading things out against Team Heinz, the RTR Mustang. Alan Hines chasing him down for the first half of this battle. Initiating in, good initiation from Nick Hang, but whoa, way far in goes Alan Hines. I don't know what I just saw. Alan Hines just went to the inside, then immediately hit the Shadow Realm. As we watch Nick Hang here, as I try to recompose myself, come through Outer Zone 6. Wow. Not even in the server anymore. He went into the Shadow Realm that hard.
Yeah, unfortunate to see. I don't know how contact wasn't made either. Let's take another look. Just yeets off to the inside on 2 wheels. And Nick Hang continues on. He ends up with a pretty good lead run as well, but just without Alan. Super unfortunate to see here in the finals. Alan is going to reconnect for the second half of his battle. And that might just do it for Alan's championship hopes here in the final round. Yeah,
yeah,
super unfortunate.
It is. It's not the way you want to go out, but we saw the second half of the battle. Maybe some redemption here. Alan Hines out front. Nick Hang chasing him down. Nick Hang almost pushing him into the initiation zone as they come into Outer Zone 1, up the hill to Outer Zone 2. No Shadow Realm shenanigans for Alan Hines this time around as they come through Outer Zone 4, now into Outer Zone 5. Alan Hines puts it right on the white line, but Nick Hang sticking right to the door of Alan Hines. They leave Outer Zone 6 down towards Outer Zone 8. Nick Hang just basically pushing Alan Hines through this course. He's so close to that Mustang as he makes the transition up towards the final Outer Zone. But if this is the end for Alan, oh, what a way to have a championship pulled from you. It was so close.
Yeah, it certainly was. We'll take another look on the replay, and Nick doing a really good job here in this chase position and kind of earning the win here in a way with a really good chase run on Alan Hines. Good on Alan to reconnect and get the second half of the battle done, and does a really good job out front as well. Really pouring on the angle before that transition. Heads on out to 8. Does filling that zone, but Nick almost pushing the Mustang through the course here. Alan makes his final transition, filling 11, heading on out to 12 now. Crossing the finish line again with Nick Hang right on the door. So good on Nick Hang to not play it safe and really put on a show there against Alan Hines. So we go to the judges. Nick Hang on the left, Alan Hines on the right. I think that's going to be Nick Hang's victory here in the top 16 and cut Alan Hines short on that championship run. And unfortunate to see. We have to treat those situations like a mechanical failure. And I guess in a way, I guess it kind of is. And there it is. They slide left for Nick Hang. He gets the win.
Wow. So Alan Hines out in the top 16, which that'll put a stop to his championship winning run. Still has a chance to make up for third or maybe a lower place. But we have another battle to see who's going to take the next spot in the last 8. Nico Stalea, the next contender for the championship, up against Cameron Mustard. They initiate in. Good initiation there from Nico Stalea into outer zone 1. Cameron Mustard was a little bit on the back foot, but quickly caught up through outer zone 2. Now through outer zone 3, transitioning along the bumper into outer zone 4. Calms down a little bit for outer zone 5, but Cameron Mustard still on that wheel of the Mustang of Nico Stalea. They leave outer zone 6 and look at Cameron Mustard keeping it on the door of Nico Stalea's Mustang, leaving just enough room for that final transition as they come into outer zone 9, all the way up to outer zone 10. Cameron Mustard not giving him an inch of room to make a mistake.
Not at all. Let's take another look here. Nico out front, throwing that Mustang in, filling outer 1 nicely, heading on out to 2, getting to that white line with Cameron Mustard right on the door. Backs up a little bit, waits for that transition to happen, puts it on the bumper through both of them. Now heading on into 5, a little teeny tiny little bobble from Nico, a little bit wide of that inside clip as well. Cameron tucking up underneath of that bigger Mustang, maybe pushing him a little bit there, heading into 8. Now 9, filling it all the way. Cameron still on the door, still on the bumper through the final transition as well, heading on out to the final outside zone where he puts the wheel right along that line. Crossing the finish line, we go back to the start gate for the second half.
Well, under the gate, they are ready for the second half of their battle. Cameron Mustard now leads things out. Nico Stalea, another championship contender, ready to chase him down for the second half of this run. Will Cameron Mustard advance on, or will Nico Stalea keep this championship run alive? Initiating in, looking great off the initiation. What a job from Nico to match that angle off the initiation through outer zone 1 and 2. He's right on the wheel of Cameron Mustard, backing out of it just a bit. Transition along the bumper both times. Gets back up onto the door through outer zone 5. Wide through the inside clip goes Cameron Mustard, and now transitions in outer zone 6. Nico gets quickly back up onto the door of Cameron Mustard. Sticking right there with him, is really tight to the inside clip goes Cameron Mustard, makes the final transition to outer zone 9. Nico quickly gets back up on the door and keeps it right there with him through to the finish.
Yeah, we'll quickly go back to that replay here. Cameron Mustard out front. Good initiation, maybe a little bit shallow in 1, a little bit shallow on 2, not quite getting on that white line. Gets there for 3, and then right along the bumper is Nico for both of these transitions. Get back into the door quickly as well for 5. Wide of that inner clip is Cameron, making his transition there for 7, where Nico reels him in quickly. Sacrifice a little bit of angle there through 8 is Cameron, grabs 9, grabs that inside clip really nice as well. And it's another smooth transition, gets out to the outside maybe a little bit early, finds himself on that white line though, crossing the finish line with Nico right on the door. We go to the judges. Nico on the left, Cameron Mustard on the right. And there it is. Nico Stalea is going to get the win. Carl wanted it one more time. Chris and Ed go left for it. Nico Stalea. He moves on into the top 8.
Well, one more spot on the left-hand side of the bracket for the top 8 to see who's going to go see Nico Stalea when we get there. Is our next battle under the tower. Masashi Yoshida in the lead lane up against another RTR driver of Team Heinze, Brett Wolford. The lights go on and this battle's underway. Decide the full bracket of the left-hand side. Masashi Yoshida initiating in, tons of speed. Brett Wolford on the back foot a little bit as they come through outer zone 1, but he regains it through outer zone 2, leaving room on the transition for that big Mustang through outer zone 4 and now into 5. Masashi doing a good job in that lead here so far, but Brett Wolford able to keep that proximity as they come through outer zone 6, right in the pocket, almost on the door of Masashi as they leave outer zone 7, down to outer zone 8, through that inside clip. One more transition to go. Wide goes Masashi for outer zone 9 as he drives it back up to that white line. Brett Wolford just sitting right there in the pocket that whole run.
Yeah, and right back to the replay. Masashi out front, getting ahead a little bit here through this initiation. Swings that car through outside zone number 1, grabs 2. Brett right back into the fight now, heading into 3. Waits for the transition, backs up maybe a little bit far, and then makes a surge there in clip number 5. Finds himself in the pocket. Masashi goes wide of that inner clip, grabs 7 though, and then Brett making another dive in that chase position. Follows him along out to 9. Stays with him around this next inside clip. And then going maybe a little bit wide is Masashi for 11. Works up into 12 and across that finish line.
Well, let's see how the second half of this battle plays out. Brett Wolford now in the lead lane. Masashi Yoshida ready to chase him down. Who will see Nico Stelea in the top 8? It will be decided after this. The lights go on and off they go down the straight. Initiating in, Brett Wolford, good initiation. Masashi Yoshida really surging onto the door of Brett. As I'm not sure if that was the bump or maybe that was contact, but Masashi right there through outer zone 3, even though he was bobbling around, transitioning right along on the bumper into outer zone 5. Brett leaves. Looked like he may have left outer zone 5 a little early. Might have just been me though, as we come through outer zone 6 down towards outer zone 7. Masashi just doing the same thing, keeping that car right there, ready to take advantage of any little mistakes as they come through outer zone 9 and do the final drive up to the top into outer zone 10 and across that finish line.
Yeah, Brett going maybe a little bit wide there in the final outside zone, but coming up short in others here. Heading on out to 2, comes up short there. Heading into 3, short there as well. A little bit shallow, does grab 4. And now 5, a little bit shallow. Does end up on a good line down to the inside clip. Makes his transition for 7, maybe a little bit shallow there as well. Does grab all of 8. Masashi trying to reel him back in. Finds himself on the door for that next inner clip. Final transition right along that yellow line, heading on out to the final outside zone where Brett goes just a little bit wide there in that last and final outside zone. So back to the judges. Masashi on the left, Brett Wolford on the right. All right, and there it is. So they go left. Masashi Yoshida gets the win. Chris wanted it one more time between those two. That's going to do it for the left-hand side of our bracket. Tikhon Pilecki and Nick Hang both move forward into the top 8. Nico Stelea and Masashi Yoshida as well. But up next, Vitaly Asov and David Lasko, Alex Rogachev and Ernestus Yakubis, Daniel Andreev and Augusto Ferreira, Braden Swan and Robert Yevsensky, all coming up next here in the top 16. So over here in Guto, having some issues with his VR, trying to get in and not crash. So we're giving him just a little extra time.
More tape. That's the answer.
There it is. Okay, yeah, David Lasco also having some issues as well, so I think we're gonna move ahead to Alex Rogachev and Ernestes. Give David some extra time to sort his issue out.
Let's hope David can get his internet all working nice and neatly after this battle so we can have that one happen. So we'll skip over them and go to our next battle. Alex Rogachev and Ernestes Ukulubis will start things out for the right-hand side of the top 16. Ernestes will be leading things out. Alex will be chasing him down as they come down the straight and initiate in. Good initiation by Ernestes out front. Alex Rogachev right there with them, though, as they come through outer zone 2, down into 3. A little surge there from the chase to try to really get up on the door through outer zone 3 as they quickly transition into outer zone 4. Now down through 5, quickly ripping through this course. They're carrying a lot of speed, these two. Transitioning to outer zone 6. Alex right on the door of Ernestes. They leave outer zone 7 down to 8. Leaving a little bit of room there for that transition. Didn't think that one was going to work, but he gets right up onto the door of Ernestes and stays there through to the finish.
Yeah, let's take a second look here on the replay. Ernestes out front, great initiation, filling 1, filling 2 as well. Not as far as you can be there for 2, 3. Nappy transitions here in the Manji section of the course. Alex dealing with it nicely, but falls at an angle just a little bit there, heading on down to the inside clip. It's right back into the fight though, heading on out to 8. Now down into 9. Right along that white line is Ernestes out front, grabbing that inside clip. Final transition, works his way out to 11 with a little bit of foot brake. And now 12. Filling that outer zone with Alex right on the door.
Well, now back around at the start gate. Alex Rogachev will lead things out for the second half of this battle. Ernestes Ukulubis will chase him down. The lights go on. Only one can advance on to the top 8. Initiating in, Ernestes really aggressive off that initiation, hits Alex Rogachev, and that causes Ernestes to lose drift completely and spin out of outer zone 2. Alex Rogachev left alone now to complete this run. We'll see. He should make it all the way around without an issue. But he still has to complete the run as the lead driver, which he manages to do so.
Yeah, he does. We'll take another look on the replay here. I see what Ernestes was going for, but just didn't quite work. They enter in and gets into the front wheel of that BMW out front. Alex keeps things going, but Ernestes decides to shut it down there. Alex continues on with a really good lead run here out front, filling that outer clip, grabbing that inside clip. Turns into kind of a practice run here. Now there is a decel area there on initiation. Want to see the drivers pick up throttle when they get into that first outside zone, but I think the contact happens beforehand, before they even get to that outer zone. We'll go to the judges though. Alex on the left, Ernestes on the right. And there it is. Alex Rogachev does get the win here in the top 16. Moves on into the top 8.
So Alex Rogachev getting the win over Ernestis Ukulibis. We move on to our next battle down. Daniel Andreev, our current championship leader, up against Augusto Ferreira as they initiate into outer zone 1 and getting sleeping at the line a little bit for Augusto, not able to keep up with the speed of the BMW of Daniel Andreev in the lead. Trying to chase him down, makes contact into that transition into outer zone 5, puts Daniel into the wall. Daniel stays in it. Augusto trying to catch up and do anything he can to keep up with that speedy BMW of Daniel Andreev. They make the final transition into outer zone 9, up to 10. They finish out that run.
Yeah, and then that contact there through the Manji section of the course. Daniel getting off to a really good start there, throwing the car in, picking up throttle, heading on out to 2 and filling that zone all the way. Augusto slowly reeling him in right there for outer 3. Grabs 4, and there we see that little bit of contact causing Daniel to slow rotate into 5 and then get into the wall. But they continue on. Filling that next outer zone is Daniel, driving out to 8 now, filling all of it, heading on down to 9 with Guto. Sacrificing a little bit of angle to follow along. Final transition, heading on out to the final zone now. Good job out front from Daniel.
Well, now back around under the start gate, Augusto Ferreira on the back foot here coming into the second half of this battle. He'll be leading things out. Daniel Andreev will be chasing him down. The lights go on and the second half's underway. Initiating in, looking good on the initiation. Almost looks like Daniel might have touched him a little bit there as they initiated into outer zone 1. But coming out of outer zone 3 for the transition, Daniel seems to be sorted in that chase position. Really wide goes Augusto Ferreira into outer zone 5. Maybe just trying to match that speed of the BMW when they leave outer zone 6 down into 7. Daniel Andreev sticking right with Guto, not giving him any breathing room. A big checkup there from the lead through that inside clip, but quickly gets back on throttle and drives it up to outer zone 10. But Daniel Andreev stuck right with him the whole way around.
Yeah, did a good job with it as well. Guto out front, throwing the skyline in. Nice job on outer 1 into outer 2 now. Maybe just a tiny bit wide. Grabs 3 as well with Daniel right along the bumper through these first transitions. Now 5 going a little bit wide, getting a little piece of the wall as well. They continue on. Guto making a good transition there. Now heading out to 8, filling that zone, maybe getting there a little bit late. Grabbing 9. And then, yeah, big checkup, almost over rotating from Guto out front for that second inside clip. Final outside zone, does get out there, crosses the finish line with Daniel right on the door, and we go to the judges. Daniel on the left, Augusto Ferreira on the right. Winner goes to the top 8. And there it is. Daniel Andreev gets the win, goes to the top 8.
Yeah, Daniel managing to keep his championship run alive there. Getting that win over Augusto Ferreira. As now we go to Vitaly Azeev as David Lasko has loaded in. So we're going to get this battle underway. Vitaly Azeev leading things out for this battle. David Lasko ready to chase him down to see who will go up against Alex Rogachev in the top 8. Initiating in, looking good for Vitaly out front. David Lasco right there with him as they come through outer zone 2, getting right up onto the door as they leave outer zone 2 through 3. Now the transition to outer zone 4, 1 transition to go through outer zone 5. David Lasco putting on the pressure here as they leave outer zone 5, sticking right to the door. Vitaly Azayev as they come through outer zone 6, left a lot of room there for that transition, but quickly regains the proximity down towards outer zone 8. Vitaly Azayev doing a good job out front here, but David Lasco taking advantage of this smooth lead run to be able to stick right to the door of David Lasco, or of Vitaly Azayev, all the way through to the finish.
Yeah, bringing a fight to him. Let's take another look here. Smooth early initiation from Vitaly out front, grabbing 2. Good line through all of turn number 1. David right there with him, right along the bumper through these transitions, almost making some contact there. Quick dive in the chase position as well for 5. Good on that inside clip from Vitaly out front, getting away a little bit there through that transition, getting on out to 8, now down to 9 with David still right in the pocket of that lead car. Final transition, a little bit of a slow rotation from David, but he makes it work in the pocket, right along the door, across that finish line.
Now we're back at the start gate, flipped around. David Lasco ready to lead things out for the second half of the battle. Vitaly Azayev, with the championship in mind, will now be chasing him down. The lights come on, and the second half of this battle's underway. David Lasco initiates in. Vitaly Azayev right there with him through outer zone 1 as they come up the hill to outer zone 2. Right along the door is Vitaly Azayev to David as they transition down to outer zone 4. Now the transition to outer zone 5, right along the bumper for both those transitions. A clean outer zone 5 for our lead, but Vitaly Azayev sticking right there with David Lasco. They come through outer zone 6. They're wheel to wheel and door to door as they head down to outer zone 8. Vitaly doing a great job at matching that angle of David Lasco. And now they make the final transition. Look at Vitaly on the attack and just staying on the door of David Lasco to the finish.
Yeah, here we go with that replay. David out front this time. Good early initiation as well. Maybe leaving 1 just a little bit early. Has to use some left foot brake. Gets out to 2, gets out to 3 as well. Right along that white line, filling 4 with a ton of angle out front. Nicely done picking up that throttle 4, 5. Filling that zone. Does end up a little bit wide of the inside clip. Grabs that next outside zone though with Vitaly right in that chase position, almost pushing him out to 8. Using some left foot brake into 9, down around that inside clip. Final transition goes maybe just a little bit wide there for 11, and then works it back out to the outside with Vitaly pushing him across that finish line. We go to our judges once more here. Vitaly on the left, David on the right. And there it is. Vitaly keeps the championship alive for himself here, moving on into the top 8 over David Lasco.
Well, with Vitaly getting that win there, that pushes Nico out of the running. So Nico will not be able to win today, but he does still finish very high up in the championship, as now the battle for the championship comes down between Vitaly Tikhon and Daniel. We move to our last battle of the top 16. Braden Swan will be leading things out. Robert Kavinsky will be chasing him down to see who will go up against Daniel Andreev in that top 8. We pull up to the line now and wait patiently for that light to illuminate to start this battle out. The lights come on, and off they go. Again, Braden Swan in the lead. Robert Kavinsky chasing him down. Braden Swan initiates in. Robert Kavinsky right there with him as he taps the front end of Braden Swan and puts him into the wall off the initiation. Braden tries to keep the run going, but it was effectively dead off of that hit as he lost drift from that contact from Robert Kavinsky. They're going to finish out this run, and we'll let them finish it out. But in my eyes, that looked like Robert's fault there off of the initiation.
And there they go across that finish line. We'll go back to the replay and check it out here. Initiating in, picking up that throttle. Was really steep on the angle from Braden Swan, but Robert was also really shallow on his angle as well. They continue on. It will be zeroed out from that contact, but it'll come down to who's at fault. Could be shared fault there as well. And as they continue on filling these outside zone, Braden does end up on a pretty good lead run here after the contact. Robert on the back foot, reeling him in for the final outside zone. And there they go, finishing out the first half of their battle.
Well, now back under the tower, ready for the second half of the battle, and ready to fill the top 8 bracket. Robert Kavinsky will now lead things out. Braden Swan will be chasing him down for the second half. Only one goes to see Daniel Andreev. The lights go on and off they go. Down the straight, initiating, and good initiation from Robert Kavinsky out front. Braden Swan sticking right there with him through outer zone 2. Down to outer zone 3, leaving some room there for the transition to outer zone 4. Robert Kavinsky sitting on a good line there as he gets it right up to the top of that white line of outer zone 5 and grabs that inside clip nicely. But Braden Swan on the attack, not leaving the door of Robert as they leave outer zone 7 down towards 8. Now through the final transition to outer zone 9, Braden Swan just all over the door of Robert Kavinsky here as he almost pushes him through that finish line.
And Robert ending up a little bit wide there in that final outside zone. Good job through turn number 1. Braden reeling him in quickly. And Robert really flying through the course here, grabbing 4. And the transition there from both of them. Braden right along the bumper and then into the door for clip number 5. A little bit tight to the inside clip is Robert out front. They continue on into 8. Good line. Down into 9, gets there maybe a tad bit late, grabbing that inside clip very nicely from Robert out front, a little bit wide there of 11. Now heading on out to the final zone. There he goes across that finish line and a little bit wide. Braden Swan on the left, Robert on the right here on the judges panel. Last and final battle here in the top 16. I think we have a decision, just the box hasn't slid left or right just yet. The top 8 will load in, get a couple of practice runs in. So maybe we can get word from maybe Dion or the judges on who won that battle, as our graphic has not moved. Maybe if I refresh the page. Well, doesn't look like it's moved. Hopefully we didn't lose a Dion. There it goes. Now it's sliding left. Braden Swan does get the win there in the top 16. Let's take a look at now our top 8 bracket. Tikon Pileski and Nick Heng, Nico Stalea and Masashi Yoshida, Vitaly Asov and Alex Rogachev, Daniel Andreev and Braden Swan, all coming up next here in the top 8.
Well, as they clear the track, it is now time for the top 8. One of the 3 remaining championship contenders, Tikon Pileski, will lead things out. Nick Heng, though, is going to be chasing him down, and he's not one to shake his stick at. Someone that is very good at battling and can maybe upset this run for Tikon and continue on to maybe into the finals. So the lights go on and off we go. Tikon Pileski leading it out. Nick Heng chasing him down, initiating in. Tikon Pileski looking great off of that initiation, right along the wall there as Nick Hang quickly surges back up onto the door through outer zone 2 and 3. Now the transition from outer zone 4 to 5. Nick Hang glued to that door of Tikon Pileski and the wheel as they come through that inside clip, transitioning along the bumper and quickly back onto the door. Tikon gains some ground there through outer zone 6 and 7. But then through 8, Nick Hang manages to catch back up through the final transition. Now Nick Hang still glued to the door of Tikon Pileski as they come through that finish line.
Yeah, nice job from Nick Hang. Great job from Tikon Pileski as well, getting away a little bit there through the initiation, heading on out the 2 now. Slowly reeling in is Nick Hang in that chase position right along the bumper through these first transitions, and then right along the door for clip number 5, making a little surge there. Tikon, good job on that inside clip through 7 and now out to 8, where he pulls away from Nick Hang a little bit. He has to sacrifice a little bit of angle to get back into the pocket, and he does do so right along the bumper once more through the final transition, now heading on up to 12, filling that zone all the way and across that finish line.
Well, now back around at the start gate, Nick Hang will lead things out for the second half of the battle. Tikon Pileski ready to chase him down. Only one advances on as the lights come on and off we go. Nick Hang initiates in. Tikon Pileski right there with him off the initiation through outer zone 1. He follows that white line beautifully through outer zone 2, but Tikon right there with them as he leaves the room for the transition into outer zone 4. Now the transition into 5. Tikon gets back up onto the door of Nick Hang, almost mirroring their previous run as they make the transition into outer zone 6 down towards 8. Tikon is glued to that door of Nick Hang through outer zone 8, barely giving him any breathing room as he leaves a little bit there on the final transition, but then gets back up onto the door of Nick Hang and stays there to the finish.
Yeah, good battle between these two. Let's take another look. Nick Hang out front. Good initiation. Tikon right along the door quickly, heading on out to 2. Out down to 3. Right along that white line. Tikon waiting on the transition. Falls back a little bit, but then reels him in quickly for 5. Stays with him through it. Perfect on the inside clip is Nick Hang. Good transition for 7 as well. Fills 8. And fills 9 with Tikon right on the door around that next inside clip. Nicely done on that last and final transition. Now final outside zone. Tikon right along the door, crossing that finish line, and we go to our judges. Tikon on the left, Nick Hang on the right. All right, we've got it one more time from Chris. Ed and Carl slide left for Tikon Pileski, and Tikon keeps the championship hopes alive here in the top 8. Also looks like Lucas Pasquini is gonna be our rookie of the year this season as well, by 1 point over David Lasco. Congratulations to Lucas Pasquini.
Yeah, 1 point separated that rookie championship, and good on him for grabbing it as we have our next battle under the tower. Tikon Pileski already advanced on. Now we'll see how far Nico Stalea or Masashi Yoshida can go. Nico leading things out. Masashi will be chasing him down for the first half of this battle. And this should be a really good battle between these two. Nico initiates in. looks great off the initiation. Masashi a little bit on the back foot off the initiation, but quickly gets back up onto the door, leaving outer zone 2 into 3. Now the transition to outer zone 4 and 5 right along the bumper. Masashi gets back up onto the door through outer zone 5 and sticks it there as they come around that inside clip into outer zone 6. Left a lot of room for that transition, but quickly gets back up on the door. Nico right along the white line through outer zone 8 and grabbing that inside clip beautifully. Masashi, though, doing a good job in the latter half of this course to let him have no breathing room. A little tap there into the fender as they cross the finish line.
Yeah, maybe pushing Nico a little bit wide there in the final outside zone. Look at that initiation from Nico. Picks up throttle quickly as well. Massages it out to outer 2 and now down into 3 where Masashi is right back into the fight. Does fall back a little bit here while Nico really pours on the angle through the Manji section into 5, getting pushed a little bit. Pushed once more around that inside clip as well. Good transition for 7 where he gets away a little bit. Masashi has to make a dive. He does make it work. Sacrifices a little bit of line and angle in that chase position, almost a little tap there for that next inside clip, maybe just a tiny bit wide of 11, and there's that little bump once more in that chase position before crossing that finish line.
Well, back around at the start line, we're ready for the second half of this battle. Only one can go see Tikon Pileski in the top 4. Nico Stelea will be chasing Masashi Yoshida now in the second half. The lights go on and off they go. Initiating in, lots of speed by both drivers coming into that initiation, going wide through outer zone 2 as Masashi Yoshida. He knows he had to keep the speed up with that Mustang right behind him. Wow, bumper to bumper transitions out of 4 into 5. They are flying through this course. They're already through the inside clip. Now the transition to outer zone 6. Down towards outer zone 8. Nico sticking right to the door of Masashi Yoshida, giving him a little bit of room there as they come to the next transition along the bumper. Wide goes Masashi Yoshida into outer zone 9 as they come up to the final outer zone. A little bit of a gap there between them at the end, but what a fast battle.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take another look. Fast initiation, picks up that throttle, but does end up wide. Almost maybe tapping the wall a little bit there for outer 2. Grabs 3. Nico right along the bumper through both of these transitions, and then a little bit wide goes Masashi 4, 5 down to the inner clip. Does a pretty good job there. Makes that next transition for 7. Now out to 8 with Nico right in the pocket of that E46 Touring. Good final transition now heading down into 11, maybe a little bit wide is Masashi, heading on up to clip number 12, crossing the finish line, and we go to the judges. Nico on the left, Masashi on the right. Winner goes to top 4. Or usually we don't take a break in between any of the groups after top 16, but today we'll take a little break in between top 8 and top 4 just to make sure or minimize the chance of crashing in those final battles. So Chris goes left, Ed goes left as well. Carl wanted a one more time. Nico Stelea gets the win, moves on into the top 4.
So Nico moving on, trying to maybe get a little bit ahead. He was still behind Zach O'Sullivan in the points, so we might be able to jump him if he continues on this trend as we have our next championship contender battle here. Vitaly Azayev in the lead. Alex Rogachev trying to chase him down. Vitaly has championship in mind here today as they come and they initiate in. Maybe a touch there from Alex Rogachev in the chase as they came into outer zone 1. But they leave outer zone 2 with a good proximity there from the chase. They transition into outer zone 4, now into 5. Vitaly doing a good job out front here. Alex Rogachev really just sticking it to him as they come through outer zone 6, not leaving the fender or the door is Alex Rogachev in that chase. Vitaly doing a good job as they come into the last outer zone. Alex Rogachev sticking right to that door all the way to the finish.
Yeah, nicely done. Let's take another look here. Vitaly out front, flying down the run-up, initiating in early, filling 1. A little bit of left foot brake heading on out to 2. Alex trying to stay with him right along the bumper through that first transition, second one as well. Now heading into 5, filling 5 all the way, and now down into the inside clip where Vitaly is perfect. Nice transition for 7 as well, heading on out to 8 with Alex still in the pocket. Staying with him through 9 into 10 as well. Backs up for that final transition. Makes it work, follows him down the little hill there, up into 12 and across that finish line.
Well, now back around at the start gate, Alex Rogachev is ready to lead things out for the second half of the battle to fill one of the 2 remaining spots in the finals, as Vitaly Azayev is ready to chase him down. Initiating in, looking good off the initiation. Very speedy by both drivers through outer zone 1 and 2. Now down into 3, Vitaly sticking right there to the door as they come through outer zone 4, then into 5. Very close together through outer zone 5. Vitaly keep that BMW glued to the door of Alex Rogachev as they leave outer zone 6 down towards 8. Matching the angle very nicely as they leave 8 into that inside clip. Very good job done for that final transition. There's Vitaly getting right up onto the door, maybe even pushing Alex a little bit through to that finish line.
Yeah, really calculated here in the chase position from Vitaly. Good initiation from Alex, picking up that throttle early, filling 2, but Vitaly right in the pocket of that lead car. Fantastic transition by both of them here into 5 now as well. Nice and smooth, filling that outer zone. Nicely done on the inside clip as well. Tucks up underneath is Vitaly and quickly onto the door of Alex out front. They continue on into 9 now. Good line through there, filling that zone all the way, grabbing that last inside clip as well. Good transition. Final outside zone where Vitaly nearly pushing him across that finish line. Let's go to those judges. Vitaly on the left, Alex on the right. And it could still come down to the last and final battle here in the final round of season 10. We got it one more time from Chris. As we wait on those last 2 to slide left or right. There goes Ed's box. Carl goes left as well. Vitaly keeps it alive and moves on into the final 4.
Well, as one man's hopes for the championship gets filled, another one has to work to get there. Daniel Andreev, our current top championship holder in the points, is now going up against Braden Swan. Daniel Andreev leading things out for this first half of the battle. Braden Swan will be chasing him down. Only one goes to see Vitaly Azayev, and any wrong mishap here could prove crucial. Daniel Andreev initiates in, looks good off the initiation. Braden Swan right there with him through outer zone 1, wide into outer zone 2 for our lead as he drops down to outer zone 3 right along that white line. Braden Swan doing a good job to stick right with Daniel Andreev. That BMW is fast here around this course as he grabs that white line beautifully and the inside clip. Braden Swan not giving up any breathing room though as they come out of outer zone 6 down towards 7. A little gap formed there, but quickly regained it as they get outer zone 8 and into that inside clip. The final transition, the final outer zone, Braden Swan on the door, Daniel Andreev on the white line, and they cross the finish.
Yeah, applying the pressure there in the chase position, being super aggressive is Braden Swan. Quickly gets into the door here, does back up just a little bit there for outer 2, and then quickly back into the pocket for 3. Falls back a little bit for that first transition, but then right on the bumper for the next one. Follows him nicely into 5 around that inside clip where he is glued to the door. Makes another dive there, but does wash just a little bit. Has to get back into it, heading into 9. Makes it work, stays with him right along the bumper once more through that final transition and stays with him through it, heading on into 12 now, crossing that finish line.
Well, now back around at the start gate, Braden Swan will now lead things out for the second half of this battle. Daniel Andreev will chase him down. One spot remains in the final four. And it's still anyone's win. The lights go on and off we go. Down the straight, Braden Swan initiates in. Looks good off the initiation. Huge surge there from Daniel Andreev in the chase to get right up onto the door of Braden Swan through outer zone 2. Following him all the way down the hill through outer zone 3. Now the transitions right along the bumper. Daniel Andreev had to lose it a little bit. It looks like he almost over-rotated through outer zone 5. Had to back out of the angle and then quickly got back onto the door of Braden Swan as they come into outer zone 7. Now down into 8. Daniel Andreev really shallow in the angle through that inside clip as they come through it and out to that final outer zone. Daniel right there on the door as they finish out the run.
Wow, let's take another look here. Braden out front, initiating in. Good job. Daniel washes a little bit, gets out to 2. Daniel's right back into the pocket. Falls back a little bit here for that transition right along the bumper. And then the next transition where there was almost some contact through there. Nice and smooth into 5, but there we see Daniel really kind of fall out of it there in 5. They keep things going. Now out to 8. Down into 9. Around that inside clip, and as you said, sacrificing a lot of line there, a lot of angle around that second inside clip. There they go, crossing that finish line, and we go to our judges. Now there is a decels area heading into clip number 5, but that decel does need to happen after that transition, and if that happens, you know, it might come down to Braden's win here if he did everything correctly through that section of the course, and it was just Daniel's mistake there in that chase position. Daniel's on the left, Braden's on the right. Here we go. We have a decision. Chris goes right. There's a one more time from Ed. Carl goes right as well. Braden Swan gets the win and cuts Daniel short here in the top 8. Braden goes on into the top 4. Let's take a look at that bracket one more time. Again, we're going to take a very short break. I'm going to leave the server and join back and try to minimize the chances of us crashing in the final battle. We don't want that to happen. Take a look at the bracket one more time. When we come back, we'll show that top 4 bracket only and continue on with our final battles of round number 6, the final round of season 10. All right, and welcome back to the final round of season 10. We're down to our top four: Tikhon Pileski and Nico Stalea, Vitaly Asov, and Braden Swan. It's up to Tikhon and Vitaly now for the championship of season number 10.
What a crazy day it's been. I mean, we started out with 5 champion contenders, six technically, one didn't show up, and then sadly throughout the day things have happened. Now we're down to 2 championship contenders left. This is going to be all out war to the finish. I can tell you that.
Absolutely. Drivers just getting a couple of practice runs in. We wait for those judges to be ready to send them for these last set of battles. So exciting here for the final round. It's never been this close down to the final round.
I don't think it ever has. Normally it's settled, probably halfway. I think we've gotten to the final rounds before, but about halfway through the round, it's been like, okay, now we have a decider, but never to the finals like this. Like, if these two make it to the finals, it'll make one heck of a final battle.
Absolutely.
Well, let's not keep people waiting any longer. Let's get these guys to the line. We're going to start our top 4 to the finals. We'll start with our first battle. Tikhon Pileski sitting second in the championship points. He will lead things out for the first half of this battle. Nico Stalea got his first win this season. Maybe he's hunting for a second. In the chase lane, the lights go on, and the top 4 battles underway. Tikhon out front, initiates in. Nico right there with them, matching that angle through outer zone 1 as they come up the hill into outer zone 2. Down into outer zone 3. Nico right along the door, but leaving the room just enough for that transition through outer zone 4. Now the switch back to outer zone 5. Nico lost a bit of ground, but then quickly regained it, got back onto the bumper of Tikhon Pileski. Still door to door as they leave outer zone 7 down to outer zone 8 and come through that inside clip. They make the transition happen into outer zone 9, and now to finish it out through outer zone 10, wheel to wheel, door to door, and across that finish line.
Good way to start things out. T-Con out front. Nico giving chase here on the replay. T-Con slow to rotate on his initiation there. A lot of left foot brake being used, leaving outer one. He does fill two, fills three as well, but Nico right along the bumper through that first transition. Second one as well. Nice and snappy from Nico. He quickly reels him in on a little bit of a tighter line. In 5, gets around that inside clip, tucks up underneath one more time and makes the dive, heading on out to 8. Now down to 9 with Nico still applying some pressure there. Waits for that transition, tucks up underneath one more time, follows him out to the last and final outside zone. There they go across that finish line. Holy smokes.
We are in for some battles here for the finish. Nico Stalea now leads things out. T-Con Boleski will chase him down. The lights go on. And off they go, initiating in. T-Con right there with them as they come through outer zone 1. Maybe one of them touched the wall there. It was hard to tell as they leave outer zone 2. T-Con all over the door of Nico Stalea as he makes the transition into outer zone 4. Disappearing from the smoke and reappearing was T-Con Boleski back on the door through outer zone 5. Beautifully done through the inside clip. Now the transition into outer zone 6. T-Con giving Nico no breathing room for this battle. Sticking right to the door. They have one last transition to go. 2 outer zones to go. Nico driving a great lead run. T-Con, the chase of his life as he finishes out the run.
Yeah, very nice job from T-Con in that chase position. Nice and snappy initiation from Nico out front. Good line out to 2, out to 3 as well, where T-Con is applying some pressure. Does get a little out of whack, leaving 3 though. Makes it work into 5. Nico filling that zone all the way. Good on the inside clip as well. Good on 7. T-Con sacrificing a little bit of line there in between 7 and 8, down into 9, where he's nearly pushing Nico through the course. Final transition. Nicely done from Nico out front in the Mustang. Works his way to the outside quickly, fills that zone, crosses that finish line, and we go to our judges. T-Con on the left, Nico on the right. Oh, here we go. We do have a decision. It is a split call so far. Chris goes right, Ed goes left. Carl goes right, Nico Stalea goes to the finals. Oh boy.
So Nico Stalea moves into the finals. T-Con Boleski goes into the 3rd place matchup. We'll see what happens in this second top 4 run. Or we decide anything. I told you, Nico, he smelt that second win coming. He was on the hunt. We still have another battle to see what happens here with the championship. And they're coming up to the line right now. Vitaly Azayev in the lead lane, sitting 4th in the championship at the moment. Up against Braden Swan in that chase lane. One goes to see Nico, one goes to see T-Con Boleski in the 3rd place matchup. The lights go on and off we go for this top 4 battle. Down the straight and initiating in, looking good off the initiation. Braden Swan matching that angle beautifully off the initiation through outer zone 1 into outer zone 2. wheel to wheel, leaving a bit of room there as they come into outer zone 3 for that transition. Now into outer zone 4, along the bumper into outer zone 5. Braden Swan surges back up to the door of Vitaly Azayev as they come through that inside clip. Now into outer zone 6 and 7 and 8. Braden Swan sticking right to the door of Vitaly. Not giving him any breathing room. Vitaly doing a good job out front here in his lead as it comes down to that last outer zone. And they finish out door to door.
Yeah, Braden being quite the menace today. Check this out on the replay. Vitaly, really good lead run as well, filling these outer zones. Really good line through turn number 1, but Braden taking advantage right along the bumper through these transitions. Falls back a little bit, but quickly reels him in for clip number 5. Gets around the inside clip. Perfect on it from Vitaly out front. Good line here. Out to 8 as well, filling it all the way. Braden is still not letting up, staying with him, staying in the pocket of that BMW out front. Nicely done. Down to 11, now out to 8 with Braden nearly pushing him across that finish line.
Well, now let's see what happens in the second half of this battle. Now that Braden Swan will be leading it, Vitaly Azayev will be chasing him down. Again, one moves on to see Nico, the other for the third place matchup against Tikon Pileski, initiating in right along the bumper as they come through outer zone 1. Vitaly Azayev trying to get as close as he can to Braden Swan as they leave outer zone 3 and transition to outer zone 4. Braden doing a good job out front so far here. Keeping it nicely done on that white line through outer zone 5. Vitaly staying on the door, not moving from it. Maybe even touching wheels as they leave outer zone 7 down towards outer zone 8. We see them come through that inside clip, leaving just enough room for that transition. Braden Swan looking so good in this lead run here. Vitaly just keeping the car where it needs to be, not as close for the finish. We'll leave it up to the judges from here.
Ooh, good luck to those judges. Let's take another look here. Good initiation, maybe leaving one just a tiny bit early as Braden out front grabs 3, 2 as well. 4, perfect on it. Nice transition there into 5 where Vitaly is right along the bumper and then into the door. Really nice job on the inner clip from Braden out front. Good transition for 7. Makes a tiny little correction there, heading on out to 8 with Vitaly still right there in the pocket. Staying with him around the inside clip. Final transition as well. Nicely done down into 11. Maybe a little nudge there up to the outside. And across that finish line, do we have a decision between these two? Vitaly on the left, Braden on the right. Winner goes to the final battle. Loser does go to the third place battle to face Tikon Pileski. And there it is. Vitaly does get the win over Braden Swan, goes to the final battle. So Braden Swan will face Tikon Pileski for that third position.
So Vitaly moving on to the finals, but we have a third place matchup to do first. That third place matchup will be between Tikon Pileski and Braden Swan. Tikon Pileski will slot into that lead lane, and Braden Swan will chase him down for the first half of this battle to see who takes home a podium place and who only gets 4th here, the final round of the Virtual Drift Championship Season 10. The lights go on and off they go for the third place matchup battle. Tikon Pileski initiates in. Braden Swan right there with them as they leave outer zone 1. Braden Swan quickly gets up onto the door of Tikon Pileski as they leave outer zone 2 down to outer zone 3. The transition along the bumper to outer zone 4. One more to outer zone 5. Braden gives him a bit of room, but quickly regains that proximity and gets back up onto the door, leaving a little bit more room here for outer zone 6. Down into outer zone, the final inside clip Now into the final two outer zones. Braden Swan keeping it glued to the door of Tikon Pileski. And they finish out the first half of this battle.
And we'll go right back to the replay here. Tikon out front, initiating in, filling outer one, and heading on out to two. Does get there maybe a little bit late. Braden still applying some pressure in that chase position right along the bumper of Tikon out front through both of those transitions. Quickly reels him in for 5, stays with him down on into that first inside clip. Good transition for 7. Again, washing out in that area is Braden. Looks like he's going for a dive there, but doesn't quite make it work. But gets back into the fight and into the pocket of Tikon Pileski out front. Follows him out to the final outside zone. There they go across that finish line.
Well, back around at the start gate and ready for the second half of their battle. Braden Swan will now lead things out. Tikon Pileski ready to chase him down. The lights go on and off we go. Braden Swan initiates in. Tikon Pileski way closer off of that initiation. A weird bump though from Braden Swan coming into outer zone 2. Not sure if he grabbed the wall or if maybe some contact from Tikon, but I doubt that as they come into outer zone 5, bumper to bumper. Now through the inside clip, wheel to wheel. They make the transition into outer zone 6. Tikon on the attack here. He has to do anything to keep his championship fight alive as they leave that inside clip. They make the transition wide. Goes Braden Swan into that final outer zone. Tikon not giving him any room to breathe as they finish out this run wheel to wheel.
Oh my goodness. Let's take another look here at third place battle. And it matters. Tikon needs to win this. Little correction from Braden out front into 2. Good job on 3. Right along the bumper is Tikon through both of these transitions, almost making contact there into 5, but stays off the bumper. Around that inside clip, a little wide is Braden making the transition for 7. He grabs that zone, heads on out to 8 with Tikon right on the door. Staying with him into 9, and now down into that next inside clip where we're a little wide again. Final transition, a little wide for 11 as well, heading on up into 12, filling that outside zone with Tikon right on the door. We go to our judges. Tikon on the left, Braden Swan on the right. Tikon needs this win, keep the chance alive for season 10 championship. Up next will be Nico Stalea and Vitaly Asov. Or Vitaly needs the win here if Tikon takes the win. If Tikon loses this battle here, Vitaly will become season 10 champion.
Well, not quite. Close though. Vitaly is going to have to win the final battle.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That.
Oh,
yeah. And there it is. Tikon Pileski does get the win. So it will come down to that final battle here between Vitaly Asov and Nico Stalea.
Tikon Pileski taking home third place. Braden Swan with a good fight to come in fourth. And now, 10 seasons, 6 rounds. It is time. The final battle of the Virtual Drift Championship Season 10 in partnership with Sim Magic, Grip Royal, Yoka Design, Fourth and Mods, Geronimo Designs, and the live bracket by AliYusuf.com. It comes to this: Vitaly Azayev in the lead lane. Nico Stalea with 1 win under his belt so far, chasing him down for the first half of this battle. It all comes down to this. They initiate in a great initiation by Vitaly Azayev out front. Nico on the back foot a little bit, but quickly regained his proximity through outer zone 2. They make the transition along the bumper. Nico throwing caution to the wind on those transitions as they come into outer zone 5, staying glued to the door of Vitaly Azayev. They make the transition into outer zone 6 down towards 8. And Nico still on that door of Vitaly Azayev as they make that transition into that final, the last 2 outer zones. Vitaly looking good out front, but Nico, the aggression the door-to-door finish. We are in for some fun
gracious.
in this final battle.
Let's take another look here. Initiating in with Vitaly out front. Filling outside zone 2 with Nico right there in chase. Right along the bumper through this first transition, and then some possible contact there. It's just super close into outer 5. Grabbing that inside clip. Vitaly perfect on it. Continuing on out to 8. Now down into 9 where we add some angle here. A little bit of left foot brake from Vitaly up front. Getting around that inside clip. Final transition with Nico right on the bumper. And across that finish line. My goodness.
Well, this could be our final battle of the night. Nico Salea now in the lead lane. Vitaly Azeev ready to chase him down. Only one goes home a victor. One might go home a champion. They go down the straight. They initiate in. Beautiful initiation by Nico Salea, but Vitaly Azeev showing that aggression right off the hop on his door through all of outer zone 2 and 3. The transition down to 4. Now into 5, Vitaly throwing again, just like Nico, caution to the wind. He is on the door through that inside clip and on the transition along the bumper, back onto the door through outer zone 7. I thought there was going to be contact there, but there wasn't. He stays with Nico into that outer zone. Nico goes wide into the final outer zone. Vitaly stays glued to the door. They finish out the run side by side.
Gosh.
Wow.
Let's take another look. Do the replay. Nico out front. Great initiation. Filling 1, heading out to 2. Right along that white line with Vitaly right there in chase. Maybe a little bit closer through there. Right along the bumper. Almost a little bit late on that first transition, but nails the next one. Gets right into the pocket of that bigger Mustang. Nico going a little bit wide there of that inner clip. Next transition is solid from Nico out front. Getting away a little bit, but then Vitaly making a dive right into the pocket of the bigger Mustang around that next inside clip. Here, perfect there from Nico, but then ends up just a tiny bit wide of 11. Heading on out to 12. We're maybe just a little bit wide there. It is close. Let's go to the judges maybe for the final time here for season 10. Nico on the left, Vitaly on the right. Vitaly wins. He wins the championship here. And they are, Chris goes right for Vitaly. Ed goes right for Vitaly as well. Carl as well. Vitaly, unanimous decision. He gets the win here for season 10, the round and the championship. Congratulations to Vitaly. Congratulations to all the drivers as well. What a close championship. Insane.
Vitaly won it by 9 points. 9 points is all that separated him and the guy below him, which was Tikhon Pileski.
Insanity. Yeah. Insanity. Yeah, definitely the closest I think it's ever been. And those drivers should be coming back to the line for their 3-man. I think they're going to make it a 4-man with Braden railing behind. Here they go. Galley out front. Look at this. Oh no. Nico in second there. Econ third. Braden fourth. Braden almost grabbing a podium today over Tikhon Pileski. Probably the best driving we've seen from Braden Swan so far. Well-deserved victory from Vitaly.
Yeah, Braden Swan really showed out today. Really just brought the fight. He just locked in and went for it. But everyone, I mean Vitaly, the positions and the battles he had to make it through to get here. And his first win this season I can't remember off the top of my head if he's won before, but at least this season, this would be his first win, and it really counted here.
Yeah, absolutely. He has won some rounds before, I believe winning Bahrain, I remember right, last season. But it's just a really consistent driver. He's very fast as well, super dialed in all the time. Very Osmo-like almost from Vitali. Super smooth, robotic, as most of these drivers are. Another, again, just incredible season. 10 seasons, Tanner. 10
Soon to be 11.
Soon to be 11. We do have plans over the summer, not just for the open community, but also for our pro drivers as well, to bring back some of that community. I know we did switch to the 24 hours this season. Honestly, I don't know if we'll keep it. There wasn't that much of a big difference between the quality of battles and qualifying as well. They were still putting down 90s and near perfect runs anyway. But what it also did was took away a little bit of that community of using that week to practice and dial in setups and just, you know, kind of get some doors with the rest of the drivers throughout the week, rather than just, you know, throwing it all into one day. I did enjoy it turned it into a full weekend, not just for us, for the drivers as well, where it kind of played out like a real event weekend, rather than, you know, spending that whole entire week with the track and things like that. So we'll probably discuss with the drivers, see what they want to do with that moving forward. But again, we got some plans for the open community as well. Get some more drivers into our championship next season. Season freaking 11. Absolutely insane. Again, thanks to all the drivers. Yeah. It's I don't even know what else to I don't know what else to say. What have we been doing with our lives, Tanner? Oh yeah. This. Oh man, but it's a blast. Big shout out to our sponsors as well. Our official title sponsors, Sim Magic, best in the game. Best bang for your buck too. There's no arguing.
No.
There really isn't. Check out, if you don't know Boosted Media, he's got a full thing on his website as well, where he compares all of the direct drive wheelbases and stuff like that. You can sort by best bang for your buck, really, best value, and that Sim Magic is on top. Fantastic wheelbases, fantastic pedals, peripherals, all of it is very good products. Grip Royal making the best steering wheels in the game. Very small company out of Memphis, Tennessee as well. Scott and Mike are great peoples. They've our first true sponsorship of the series was and still is Grip Royal. So big shout out to them. Big thank you to them. Top 3 will get some wheels from Grip Royal. Joka Design, he made this track with partnership with Grip Royal and the Drift Mansion themselves. Hope they're still watching along. I know they were watching yesterday at the Drift Mansion. It's so cool to see. They did it 2 years ago as well, watching the round. And then Fourth and Mods made a bunch of stuff from our 5.0 pack. Our 6.0 pack will be coming, and it's got a lot of additions, new physics, new tires. It's gonna be a good one. And with the upcoming changes with CSP and Content Manager and Server Manager, it looks like we're going to be able to do, here's a list of cars, and if a slot is available on the server, you get to pick what car you want to drive and just drive it. It doesn't have to be there's only 2 of this car on the server or 2 of each, there's 3 of this car and 1 of this car, etc, etc. That doesn't matter anymore with the upcoming update. That is going to be thick, which will allow us to add more cars to the pool there, and then you as a driver coming to the public server, you just pick out whatever you want to drive and hop in it and drive it. And Geronimo Designs joined us this season as well, and then Ali Yusuf doing the bracket for us, the interactive bracket with some of those other stuff as well, like the lead and chase driver graphic, making that all work, where Dion in the background is just picking the next battle that needs to be up on the screen. and it appears. And then when a battle happens and we slide those judges left or right, that gets plugged in as well, and goes right to the bracket and updates the bracket live. Super cool, and we appreciate Ali Yusuf for everything that he does. Thank you, Tanner, joining me all this time. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time, man. But you sit there and thank me, and I just look at the community and go, I want to thank you. There's a lot of work that you do in the background that no one knows, and I want it to be more appreciated because you're such a core member to this team, and I'm just a guy that sits here and talks.
You do a good job, Tanner. We appreciate it.
But we really do appreciate you, Craig, and we love all the work you put into this, and you dump your heart and soul into it, and it shows.
It's a lot of time. Thank you, Tanner, and shout out to our judges that show up every single round as well. Chris Vitalski, now a judge for Drift Masters. He was previously with Drift Masters as sort of like a secondary judge that was in charge of like the replays and pulling up things and like, hey, I saw this here on this replay, check this part out, type of role. But now he is in a judge's role. Super cool to see for Chris. I'm happy for him. I'm proud of him. Well deserved. Carl there, our judge as well, and Edmard been here, I believe, since the start with Ed, and fantastic judge as well. Thank you all for showing up for each and every single round too. Those of you that do, and those of you that are new, hit the subscribe button. Follow us on socials as well. Join our Discord, and we'll get this track layout out to you all as well. Need to talk with the Drift Mansion, those guys, and get that updated for those that haven't purchased the track yet. That way, new purchases will, the new layout will be included. We'll also release just the layout by itself for those of you that already own the track. So I think that's it. Anything else you wanna touch on, Tanner?
Nah, man. We got all of it out of the way. Thank you to all the fans. Thank you for everyone that keeps this going. Now the real life fun starts.
Yeah, absolutely. Real life season. Good luck to all of those that attend that and participate in that as well. So we won't see you next year. We'll see you later this year. Stay tuned to our socials. Join our Discord. And we'll have some fun information put out for you all very soon. That's gonna do it for season freaking 10. See you all later.